Chapter 363. Li Hongqing. Is this how you treat your guests? An angry shout came from outside the door. Li Hongqing had already stood up and smiled apologetically at Tang Zheng and said, "Young Master Tang, I will go and take care of it first." "It's a ploy." Tang Zheng smiled and nodded, indicating that she could do as she pleased. He could already tell who the voice belonged to, Chu Xiaofeng, the young master of the Chu family who had one of his arms crippled by Tang Zheng. "Eat. Don't let some buzzing flies ruin your mood." Tang Zheng called out to everyone. Seeing that, Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix laughed and toasted each other, as if nothing had happened. Yi Yuan glared fiercely at Chu Xiaofeng, then returned to his seat. "Child Feng, why are you so angry?" Li Hongqing closed the door and smiled at Chu Xiaofeng. During this period of time, Chu Xiaofeng had stopped a lot and did not show his face often. "Li Hongqing, what do you mean by this? I brought my friend here to take care of your business. Why did you give this room to someone else?" Chu Xiaofeng asked sternly. He originally did not plan to come here, but he could not resist the request of the guests, so he could only do this. This time, Li Hongqing had embarrassed him in front of his guests. How could he tolerate it? "Oh, Child Feng, when did you book this private room? Why didn't I know?" Li Hongqing asked without batting an eyelid. 8. Chu Xiaofeng's face turned cold and said, "Do I still need to reserve it? In the past, I used this private room when I came here, so of course I used this private room this time as well." "Hee, Child Feng, I, Li Hongqing, open my door to do business, so of course I pay attention to fairness. I used to use this private room when I came here, but this time, there are important guests who arrived first, so of course I would let them use it first. I hope Child Feng can understand," Li Hongqing said politely. "Understand?" Chu Xiaofeng flew into a rage. "What the hell do I understand? Li Hongqing, you are purposely making me lose face. Don't blame me for being impolite. I want to see which esteemed guest it is today." Chu Xiaofeng was used to being arrogant and despotic. Other than suffering a huge loss at the hands of Tang Zheng, he had never tasted defeat, so of course he would not be afraid. Seeing that the other party's arrogance was getting fiercer and fiercer, Li Hongqing frowned and said, "Child Feng, are you really going to cause trouble here?" "Who said I'm causing trouble? I just want to see who's so important to occupy my private room." Chu Xiaofeng strode past Li Hongqing. Li Hongqing was not a martial artist, so how could she stop him? With a creak, Chu Xiaofeng pushed open the door. "Who is it? You dare to snatch my private room? Stand out and walk 2 laps. Let this young master take a look." Chu Xiaofeng said proudly. "Stop, we're eating." Lin Hu and Yi Yuan stood up at the same time and roared while glaring at each other covetously. Chu Xiaofeng glanced at the two of them, his gaze especially lingering on Yi Yuan. This person was young. To be able to withstand a punch from him, he was definitely not simple. However, this was the capital, and he did not put the other party in his eyes. These people were definitely country bumpkins from other places, and even he, the Child Feng, did not know them. A few foreigners dare to challenge this young master? Do you believe that this young master will throw you out to feed the dogs? After confirming that the other party was a foreigner, Chu Xiaofeng became even more arrogant. Lin Hu and Yi Yuan stood up and covered Tang Jing and the others, so for a moment, Chu Xiaofeng did not see Tang Jing and Yi Dingding. "How awe-inspiring. I remember that your Tibetan Mastiff is already dead. Could it be that you went to find another one to die?" A low, disdainful laugh sounded out. Chu Xiaofeng was shocked. He immediately recognized this voice. He would never forget this voice in his entire life. This voice was like his nightmare. Ever since he met the owner of this voice, his smooth-sailing life had become incomparably bumpy, as if he had fallen into the valley of his life. He had the urge to run away, but he forcefully stopped himself from doing so. However, his arrogant expression had disappeared into thin air and was replaced by resentment, hatred, and fear. Lin Hu and the others curiously looked at Chu Xiaofeng's change in expression. They did not know why he had such a big reaction when he heard young Master Tang's voice. "Tang Zheng, it's you," Chu Xiaofeng said while gnashing his teeth. Tang Jing also stood up, looked at Chu Xiaofeng calmly, and said, "It's me. Didn't you want to throw us out to feed the dogs? Do it. I'm waiting for you." Tang Jing's tone was calm, but it gave Chu Xiaofeng an invisible pressure. However, he did not dare to make a move, because he believed that as long as he made a move, Tang Zheng's counterattack would definitely be like a storm, causing him to have no room to resist. At that time, the one who would lose face and suffer losses would be him. He didn't want his other arm to be crippled as well. Humph, Tang Zheng, just you wait. You can't continue to be so arrogant. Chu Xiaofeng said angrily. How can I be as arrogant as your Chu family's young master? It's just a meal, yet you want to kill people. Hee. The Chu family's ability is really great. I've seen it again today. Tang Zheng mocked. Chu Xiaofeng's face flushed red, but he did not dare to say anything. He coldly snorted and turned to leave. At this time, a few voices came from outside the door. Bossly, what's going on? This voice was very gentle, like warm jade. Young Master Song, why are you here? Li Hongqing asked in surprise. Xiaofeng and I invited a friend to eat. What's going on? A small problem. It's been solved. Young Master Feng, please come out. Don't disturb my guest's meal. Li Hongqing said. Chu Xiaofeng turned around and left. Seeing the person who came, his face could not help but become even more unsightly. He said angrily, What bad luck? Song Yu, Mr. Wales, let's change to another restaurant. What happened? Song Yu asked curiously. I met an annoying person. Chu Xiaofeng said with a frown. Song Yu was slightly surprised. There were not many people who could make Chu Xiaofeng so angry. He was really curious about who was sitting inside. Tang Zheng also heard the commotion outside, especially the two names Song Yu and Wales. His heart moved. He and Li Xiaotian looked at each other, as if they had a tacit understanding. Li Xiaotian nodded slightly. Tang Zheng understood and walked towards the door. Wales, could it be that person from the Rockefeller family? Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian had been investigating which family in the capital Wales was cooperating with. This time, they seemed to have found some clues by chance. When he walked to the door, he happened to see Song Yu, and that Wales was indeed the person who was conspiring with Yu Zhangkue. It really is him. Could it be that the Rockefeller family has joined forces with the Song and Chu family? Tang Zheng was shocked. This matter was most likely true. He just did not expect the Rockefeller family to have such a big plan that even these two great families were included. The Rockefeller family is indeed scheming big. Even these two great families have joined forces. No wonder their young lord would personally come to Huaxia. The Song and Chu family have joined forces again. Originally, the Chu family and Yin family were very close. But after the battle at Longxiang Mountain, a crack appeared in the relationship between these two families. The Chu family turned around and joined forces with the Song family. Tang Zheng was awestruck. This was really big news. The Song and Chu family joining forces could make up for each other's shortcomings and contend against the Ye family and Yin family, especially the Ye family. The Ye family had changed too much in this half a year and displayed a lot of strength. No one dared to underestimate them anymore. Song Yu saw Tang Zheng, who walked out with a glance. A strange look flashed through his eyes, and he immediately revealed a brilliant smile. Tang Zheng, so it was you who was here? Yes, young Master Song. Is this your friend? Tang Zheng pointed at Wales and asked. Yes, this is Mr. Wales. He is a friend of Xiaofeng and I, Song Yu said with a smile. He and Chu Xiaofeng were two completely different people. Chu Xiaofeng was arrogant and despotic, while Song Yu was gentle like jade. He was an elegant young master. Wales was also sizing up Tang Zheng. He said with a smile, This must be the Kung Fu bro whose name has recently shaken the capital? Oh, Wales has also heard of his name? Song Yu asked curiously. Of course. Kung Fu bro's martial arts are not bad. He has defeated many opponents. Wales praised, not knowing whether it was sincere or not. Tang Zheng could not see through Wales. He only looked at him expressionlessly. Chu Xiaofeng heard this and curled his lips. He said disdainfully, Bullshit Kung Fu bro. He only knows how to hype things up. This is a common method used by rascals. It can't be used in the Grand Hall. Tang Zheng asked without batting an eyelid. Is that so? I wonder how it can be considered to be used in the Grand Hall? Humph, Tang Zheng, don't be so proud. You think that you can strut around just because you won that whatever martial arts convention? Who do you think you are? It's not like you don't know how strong those contestants are. What kind of ability is it for you to win against them? Chu Xiaofeng mocked. Tang Zheng laughed unconcernedly. This is not considered much of an ability, but there are people who can't even beat me, so they are not considered much of an ability. I'm afraid they won't be able to enter the Grand Hall. However, Chu Xiaofeng was obviously not a match for Tang Zheng. Hearing this, he was about to flare up, but was stopped by Song Yu's gaze. Coincidentally, the others also walked out of the private room. Looking at the subtle situation, Yi Yuan's killing intent soared, while Lin Hu and the Fire Phoenix did not show any signs of weakness and glared at each other. Song Yu thoughtfully looked at these people, especially at Yi Dingdong's body. He had a good impression of Yi Dingdang, but the falling flower was in love with the heartless flowing water. Yi Dingdang did not even consider him, making him taste the taste of failure for the first time in his life. However, he concealed his emotions very well and did not reveal them. Instead, he nodded politely at Yi Dingdang and smiled. Dingdang, long time no see? Yi Dingdang was expressionless and did not say a word. Song Yu smiled embarrassedly and said, Mr. Wales, I know of another place. The food there is very special. Why don't we go there? Wales said with a smile, All right, I'll listen to young Master Song's arrangements. Song Yu nodded at Tang Zheng and the others and walked out with large strides. Chu Xiaofeng snorted coldly, glared at Tang Zheng unwillingly, and quickly followed. Young Master Tang, don't let them ruin your mood. Let's go in and continue eating. Li Hongqing greeted warmly. However, when everyone sat back down, the atmosphere clearly changed and became serious. Lin, who had seen Song Yu before and knew that he was a member of the Song family. He could not help but be a little worried and asked, Young Master Tang, there won't be any trouble if we provoke the Song family, right? Tang Zheng gave a mysterious smile, indicating that there was nothing wrong with it. Chapter 364. Hearing Whale's confident tone, Song Yu and Chu Xiaofeng were surprised at the same time. What a schemer! Chu Xiaofeng had a great feeling of being a confidant as he spoke with a common enemy. Mr. Wales is right. This kid is a troublemaker. We must get rid of him, no matter the cost. Song Yu looked at Wales suspiciously and asked, Why do you say that, Mr. Wales? Wales pretended to be solemn and said, Although I didn't know this person before, my intuition tells me that this person will definitely be a stumbling block for your future achievements. You seem to know something? Wales smiled mysteriously and said, I know that this person is the Ye family's future son-in-law. Think about it, his relationship with the Ye family isn't shallow, and he has such a deep background. Yet he wants to show his face in the martial arts convention. What do you think his intentions are? Chu Xiaofeng said without hesitation. Of course he wants to be famous. Although he's the Ye family's son-in-law, that's a status obtained through a woman after all. This isn't something honorable for a man. That's why he wants to use the martial arts convention to increase his fame. Wales nodded and said, Then why is he doing this? Humph, this is the petty thoughts of a grassroots person like him. He wants to obtain more power and greater fame for is an element of, Chu Xiaofeng said disdainfully. Wales smiled and didn't say anything else. He looked at Song Yu instead. Song Yu's brows gradually furrowed as she pondered. After a long time, she said, Mr. Wales means that he's planning something big? Wales gave a thumbs up and praised. Young Master Song is indeed smart. This person did so many things for the sake of power and fame. It can be seen that he's a person blinded by greed. This kind of person also has the support of the Ye family. He'll definitely be a great threat to the Song and Chu families in the future. Chu Xiaofeng immediately said, He's a great threat to us right now. It's just that we haven't done anything to him due to various reasons. Song Yu glanced at Chu Xiaofeng. Chu Xiaofeng immediately fell silent, as if he realized that he'd said too much. The two of you know the principle of nurturing a tiger is inviting calamity, right? Tang Zheng is a tiger. If he wins in this martial arts convention, then his prestige will definitely reach an unprecedented height. You all know what he says, saying that he wants to let the world see the strength of Hua Xia's martial arts. In fact, these are all excuses. He just wants to raise the banner of righteousness, so that the masses who don't know the truth will believe him, Wales analyzed. Song Yu and Chu Xiaofeng's eyes lit up. Chu Xiaofeng couldn't help but say, "Damn, he's really too insidious. I was wondering what was the point of participating in the martial arts circle convention. It turns out that he actually hid such a cunning intention." Song Yu was also shocked. He usually prided himself on being smart, but he didn't see such a deep meaning in the complicated chaos. After Whale's pointers, he felt like he could see the blue sky after the clouds were cleared. He's kidnapping public opinion to gain prestige. In the future, he definitely won't just be plotting against the Ye family, but also other big families, right? Song Yu asked. Wales was secretly delighted. He'd fooled them with just a few words. These aristocratic children thought they were smart, but they didn't know that they were being played in the palm of his hand. Wales pretended to have a solemn expression and nodded. Young Master Song's words are very true. Chu Xiaofeng's eyes instantly widened as he exclaimed, "What? He's actually plotting against other families?" Once this kind of grassroots tasted the sweetness of power, they'll do everything they can to obtain even greater power. This martial arts circle convention is only his first step. He'll definitely have other methods in the future. If we don't kill him in the cradle, it won't be easy to get rid of him when he becomes powerful in the future. Wales advised earnestly. Song Yu was already moved. He couldn't help but recall the series of events after Tang Jing appeared. His originally easy engagement was ruined, and the dying Ye family actually regained a second spring. Now, they had a strong momentum and were faintly showing signs of surpassing other families. This was a very bad phenomenon. So the crux of all this was on Tang Jing. Only by getting rid of him would the Ye family decline. I wonder what brilliant plan Mr. Wales has? Song Yu asked. Of course it's to kill him without knowing why. Wales said. Song Yu shook his head awkwardly. No, this won't work. If they could kill Tang Jing like this, they would have done it long ago. Why wait until now? Killing Tang Jing wasn't difficult, but the key was to make his Grandmaster Realm Master behind him speechless. Wales pretended to think for a long time before he said, "Perhaps the martial arts convention this time is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Since we can't kill him secretly, then we'll kill him openly. Moreover, we'll do it in front of everyone, so no one will be able to find fault with it." Song Yu's eyes lit up, while Chu Xiaofeng said gloomily, "How do we do that? Those contestants can't kill him with their strength." Wales looked at Song Yu and said with a smile, "I think young Master Song has already thought of a way." Song Yu laughed. "Yes, this time Tang Jing will die without a doubt." Tang Jing didn't know that someone was plotting to get rid of him. He arranged for Lin, Hu and the others to stay in a hotel. They would only go to ordinary balance after the competition ended. They had already reported to him about the situation in the ordinary balance. Right now, the ordinary balance was very stable. With their control, there were very few vicious cases. Moreover, with the help of the government, they were like fish in water, and money was rolling in. "Young Master Tang, I see that the capital is so big. Why don't I call some brothers over, and we can also take over a piece of land? The benefits will be even greater than the ordinary balance." Lin Hu said, rather moved. "Hu Zi, your appetite is getting bigger and bigger." Tang Jing laughed. Lin Hu scratched his head and said, "Following young Master Tang, of course I have to set my sights further." Fire Phoenix joked, "Young Master Tang, don't listen to his nonsense. I think he's just itching for a fight. He has no opponents in the ordinary balance, so he wants to come to the capital to fight." Lin Hu's thoughts were seen through, but he didn't say anything and said embarrassedly, "The ordinary balance is really too unchallenging. I used to think that I would like that kind of life, but now I realize that that kind of life is too dull. It's still refreshing to follow young Master Tang and bravely kill the enemy." "Haha, you even have a fighting gene." Tang Jing joked. "Phoenix, don't talk about me. Don't you often say that if you follow young Master Tang to fight, you'll have more energy?" Lin Hu said. Fire Phoenix laughed and didn't deny it. Tang Jing looked at the members of his original team and his heart moved. Without a doubt, he had the Witch clan as a strong army, so these two people's strength was relatively weak. However, they were the first to follow him and were very loyal to him, so Tang Jing couldn't just watch them do nothing. Fighting and killing temporarily don't have anything to do with you guys. Moreover, the capital is under the feet of the emperor. How could he tolerate such chaos in society? You guys can forget about replicating the glorious achievements of the ordinary balance, Tang Jing said with a smile. The two people's expressions dimmed as they bitterly smiled and said, then it seems that we can only retire in the ordinary balance. Don't just think about fighting and killing. Can't you guys do a little business? I think Fire Phoenix's construction company is doing pretty well, Tang Jing said. Fire Phoenix shook her head and bitterly smiled. Young Master Tang, don't laugh at me. My little ability is nothing. I can only make a small fuss in the ordinary balance. If you really want me to do business, I really don't have that kind of ability. It can't be. I see that your company is doing well in the ordinary balance, Tang Jing said in disbelief. I'm just playing on the edge. I'm still far from a real construction company, Fire Phoenix said. Staying in the underworld isn't a long-term plan. Moreover, you have to give the people behind you a chance to stand out. I want you guys to change your profession. I don't know if you guys are interested? Tang Jing asked. This was an idea he came up with on the spot, but this idea was very necessary. Young Master Tang, you want us to change our profession? The two people were shocked. Tang Jing nodded his head. After all, fighting and killing can't last forever. The two people looked at each other at the same time. They had never thought of this problem before because once they stepped into this pool of water, it would be difficult to get out. Even when Huang Si had washed his hands of the underworld, he still didn't leave the underworld. Young Master Tang, do we really want to change our profession? Lin Hu asked doubtfully. Tang Jing nodded his head. Yes, you guys should think about what you're interested in. We don't have much experience. Haha, people aren't born with everything. Everything is accumulated bit by bit. What are you afraid of? Tang Jing laughed loudly. The schedule for the martial arts conference was very tight. The second day was the second round of the promotion competition. Out of the 10 contestants, 5 winners would be decided. There were even more spectators today. When Tang Jing appeared on stage, the crowd exploded with thunderous cheers. This time, there were still 5 matches going on at the same time. They drew lots to decide their opponents. In the end, Tang Jing faced a Westerner called Taka. This person's bones were thick, and his temples were bulging. His clenched fists were like iron hammers, showing off his powerful strength. The audience held their breaths, looking forward to this match. However, no one noticed that there were a few special people in the audience, Song Yu and Chu Xiaofeng. The two of them stared at Tang Jing. Chu Xiaofeng sneered. This kid can really fight. If we don't use this method, these contestants won't be his match. Song Yu smiled mysteriously. After the martial arts conference, this big problem will disappear from this world. Young Master Song, this way. Wouldn't you be able to hug a beauty and pick this fresh flower? Yi Ding Dang? Chu Xiaofeng laughed evilly. Song Yu said, in the matters between men and women, both sides must be willing. I don't like to use force. Haha, young Master Song. Actually using force has a different taste. As a person, you have to change your taste. Otherwise, if you eat the same taste every day, wouldn't it be boring? Chapter 365. Taka looked at Tang Jing and grinned. He said in a Huaxia accent, today, I will take revenge for Kyle. Kill. Taka turned into a shadow and appeared in front of Tang Jing in the next second. He used both his hands and legs and attacked from top to bottom. Tsu, this person was stronger than Kyle by a level. Tang Jing reacted quickly and immediately counterattacked. In the previous round, the Korean contestant could not withstand a single punch from him. This time, Taka was obviously stronger. Tang Jing punched out and his opponent dodged it. Then, the shadows of his legs and fists intertwined and attacked Tang Jing like a storm. Tang Jing was like a small boat in the middle of the ocean. He could be destroyed at any time. Many of the audience's hearts were in their throats. Even though they were far away, they could feel the murderous aura. Tang Jing could feel it more clearly. However, it was nothing to him. Tang Jing still punched out and all the shadows of his fists and legs were completely covered by Tang Jing's fist. In an instant, his fist seemed to have enlarged. In fact, this was an illusion. His fist was still the same size as before. There was no change at all. However, the fist aura on his fist surged and made people tremble in fear. Taka's heart skipped a beat as he stared at the fist that was slowly approaching him. It was as if an angry dragon had emerged from the bottom of the sea and soared into the sky. Boom! With a loud sound, Taka's shadows of his legs and fists disappeared. Everything was calm and peaceful. Tang Zheng's fist also disappeared as if it had never appeared. His hands hung naturally by his sides. At that moment, he did not have any imposing aura. He was just like an ordinary college student. The spectators were completely silent. Everyone was very puzzled. Just what had happened? Why didn't his punch have much of an explosive reaction? Tang Zheng smirked and stared at Taka. Taka's face had completely changed. There was no trace of blood, and he was as pale as a piece of white paper. Suddenly, the light in his eyes dimmed. He closed his eyes and fell to the ground. His huge body hit the arena and shook a few times. What? The winner was decided just like that. Was it that simple? The audience was shocked. They could not understand the essence of the fight. Why was Tang Zheng's fight so short? There were no flashy moves. The audience did not even see Tang Zheng's fist hit Taka's body. They suspected that it was a fake fight. Taka did not stand up again. The referee announced that Tang Zheng was the winner. The audience only then did they wake up and cheer. The other arenas were not as fast as the previous day's fight. Without Hua Xia and the other contestants, they were all people with real skills. When they fought, it was much more exciting than Tang Zheng's fight. Tang Zheng was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he watched the other contestants fight with interest. Among them, there were 3 contestants that attracted the most attention. One of them was a Westerner. He was very tall and looked like a giant. He had a lot of hair on his face. His opponent was from an island nation. This person's clothes were tattered and his skin was lacerated. There were many scratches on his face. This person's fingernails are very sharp, just like a sharp blade. Even though this Japanese is agile and has been dodging, he still isn't this Westerner's opponent. I think he won't be able to last more than 10 moves. Tang Zheng analyzed. As expected, after 9 moves, the Westerner grabbed the island nation's opponent. Like leading a chicken, he bent his knee and knocked on the opponent's back. Gotcha! The island nation's opponent's spine was broken. He let out a heart-wrenching scream and softly fell down. This Westerner is a strong opponent. If I meet him, I must be careful of his claws. The other island nation's kung fu was not weak. With the help of his flexible body, he greeted the Westerner. After a few rounds, the Westerner fell to the ground with a loud bang. This person's kung fu is similar to Sawada Ichiro. He is not a good person. Tang Zheng's gaze once again shifted towards Song Ba. This dark and skinny little man was like a black bolt of lightning, striking out with a fierce aura on the stage. His opponent was completely unable to resist and was finally kicked off the stage with a whip kick. In comparison, Tang Zheng's fight was the worst to watch because he KO'd his opponent with one punch. Ordinary people did not even have time to react. However, in front of experts, Tang Zheng's performance was remarkable. In the audience, Song Yu and Chu Xiaofeng watched Tang Zheng's fight without blinking. The two of them looked at each other speechlessly. This brat's kung fu has increased by a lot. Chu Xiaofeng sighed in disbelief. Song Yu's expression was also a bit unsightly. On the contrary, Qin Lao's eyes lit up. He said in a deep voice, "Young master, Tang Zheng's kung fu is increasing at a speed that is rarely seen in the world. From what I know, other geniuses have not cultivated as fast as him. In the future, I'm afraid it is not impossible for him to reach the great scholar realm." Ever since he met Tang Zheng, Song Yu had let Qin Lao follow him to guard against any possible dangers. Qin Lao was a 5th-grade natal stage cultivator. Naturally, his vision was more unique. Chu Xiaofeng said unwillingly, "I don't know what kind of freak he is. How can he be so terrifying?" Qin Lao sighed. "If young master did not already have a plan, even if I had to risk my old life, I would still get rid of this brat. In the future, he will definitely be a big problem for our Song family. If we don't get rid of him today, the Song family will definitely fall into huge trouble in the future." Qin Lao made a solemn vow which made people's hearts uncontrollably heavy. Song Yu did not even say a word. His eyes flickered and no one knew what he was thinking. On the contrary, Chu Xiaofeng said with a relaxed expression, Qin Lao, no matter how powerful this brat is, he won't be able to live for more than a few days. The next match will be when he loses his life. Let him jump around for a few days first. Young master, will there be any flaws in your plan? Qin Lao asked worriedly. Song Yu raised his eyes and looked at Tang Zheng from afar. His killing intent burst forth. Absolutely safe. Tang Zheng felt a wave of killing intent rush towards him. He raised his head to look, but found that it had disappeared without a trace. The second round of the promotion competition had ended. Huaxia, Western Asia, Island Nation, Korea, and Siam each had one contestant left. The next round of the competition would be held tomorrow. However, because there were 5 contestants left, one of them would not need to participate in the competition and would directly advance. However, this needed to be decided by drawing lots. Therefore, after the competition, the contestants began to draw lots. Without a doubt, this lucky person would be able to save a lot of energy for the next battle. The results of the drawing of lots came out very quickly. Tang Zheng was actually this lucky person. This meant that he did not need to participate in the competition tomorrow and would directly advance. The other contestants looked at him with eyes full of unwillingness, as if they were suspecting whether this was a shady deal. Of course, this was not a shady deal. The chairman of the Martial Arts Association, Yu Zhangkue, was also very depressed. How could this brat's luck be so good? He had already judged Tang Zheng's approximate strength from these few battles. He did not know what method Wales would use to make him lose the competition. With this result, Tang Zheng was also happy and relaxed. He did not need to participate in the competition tomorrow, so he went back to school early. At this moment, at the Capital International Airport, a direct flight from the Western Empire arrived at the capital and smoothly landed at the airport. At the airport exit, a tall white man walked out, dragging a suitcase in his hand. He walked leisurely. His blue eyes were incomparably deep, just like the ocean. The passers-by all paid attention to him. Many girls' eyes were shining as they said infatuatedly, "So handsome, much more handsome than those movie stars." The white man had a faint smile on the corner of his mouth. It had a trace of evil charm, which added to his charm. It made many girls' hearts feel as if they were about to jump out. However, these girls could only watch from afar. They all looked at the girl beside him with jealousy. This girl obviously had an Asian face. She wore trousers and a coat on the outside. She was tall and wore sunglasses, but it could not hide her natural beauty. Moreover, the corner of her mouth was slightly raised, forming a beautiful arc that made people's hearts palpitate. The white man whispered a few words to the girl in sunglasses from time to time. He even took the initiative to grab the girl's suitcase and carry it down the stairs. He was very gentlemanly. Wow, this girl is so lucky to have such a boyfriend. If I were her, even if I died now, it would be worth it. A woman murmured with envy and jealousy. Yes, the baby born with such a handsome guy must be very beautiful. A mixed race, just thinking about it makes me excited. These words were transmitted to the man and woman's ears. The man's expression did not change at all, as if he did not understand. The woman's eyes under the sunglasses flashed with a trace of displeasure. A luxurious limousine stopped in front of the two. The man personally opened the door and said, Sure, please get in." He was actually speaking Huaxia, and very fluently, as if he grew up in Huaxia. The girl in sunglasses shook her head and said, "Louis, I'll take a taxi myself. You've never been to the capital before, so you must not be familiar with the terrain. Let me give you a ride. This is my duty as a man." The man said politely. Wales had already come down from the driver's seat. He smiled at the two of them and said, "Respected miss, please let our young master give you a ride." The girl in sunglasses hesitated for a moment and nodded. "All right, Louis, thank you. I'll treat you to a meal later." "It's my honor," Louis said with a smile. When the girl in sunglasses got in, he gently closed the door while Wales put the suitcase in the car. When the others saw this scene, they were all dumbstruck. They did not hear the conversation, but they were obviously shocked by such a big show. Just who was this person? He was too awesome. Many women thought that this girl in sunglasses was too lucky. It was as if she had fallen into a honey pot. Why didn't they have that opportunity? But looking at their own appearance, Compared to the girl in sunglasses, everything was self-evident. She had this condition, so she had this kind of preferential treatment. The limousine smoothly drove out of the airport and headed towards the city center. Chapter 366. Louis looked at the beautiful woman beside him who had already taken off her sunglasses. Her eyes were filled with urgency and joy, but her joy wasn't because of him, but because of someone else. His heart was gloomy, but he covered it up and said politely, Sure, this is my first time in Huaxia. Your country's development is really fast. Yeah, it's been developing so fast these past 30 years that even we don't recognize ourselves anymore. The woman said, Why didn't your boyfriend come to pick you up? Louis pretended to ask casually. She smiled faintly and said playfully, I didn't tell him. I was going to give him a surprise. This guy must be the happiest person in the world because he has a girlfriend like you. She seemed to think of her boyfriend and said, Because of him, I'm the happiest woman in the world. Is he really that outstanding? Louis asked in disbelief. She nodded with certainty. He really is outstanding. At least in my heart, he's the most outstanding person in the world. Louis smiled bitterly. Others say that I'm also outstanding, but obviously in your eyes, I'm far inferior to him. TSK. I don't know if you've heard of the saying in Huaxia, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Maybe it's because of this principle. She explained. Louis nodded. Then I really have to get to know him this time. I want to see what kind of person has captured your heart. Wales was shocked as he drove. Who was this woman to make the young lord so interested? And it seemed that the young lord had fallen for her. What kind of charm did she have? One had to know that the young lord wouldn't easily fall for a woman, but this time it seemed like he was serious. No matter what background this woman has, our young lord is more than enough for her. But she's thinking about some boyfriend. How preposterous. Wales glanced at the woman from the rearview mirror and felt displeased. When the Lincoln sedan drove into Yinqing University, it attracted a lot of attention. After all, such a luxurious car was rare on campus. Many people were guessing which tycoon had come to pick up the girls. Nowadays, there were many luxury cars on campus every Friday, and they would pick up the beautiful girls and leave. Everyone understood what was going on. After all, this society was very fickle. Many people had the capital and were willing to take shortcuts. Others had no way to interfere. However, they guessed wrong this time. The Lincoln sedan did not stop at the girls' dormitory, but at the boys' dormitory. That's weird. Could it be that one of the brothers had taken care of a rich woman? He didn't see a rich woman, but a Westerner quickly got out of the car and opened the door. A pair of slender legs stretched out, followed by her entire body. She wasn't a rich woman. She was clearly a young miss from some family. She wore a pair of sunglasses on her chest, and her fair fingers gently tucked her hair behind her ear as she looked up. The winter sun shone on her body, bathing her in a layer of mysterious light, making her even more breathtaking and captivating. Many of the boys were mesmerized by the scene. Which fairy had descended to the mortal world? More importantly, what was such a fairy doing in the boys' dormitory? Could it be that one of the students had taken care of such a fairy-like character? Some of the girls lowered their heads. Compared to such a fairy, they were like Cinderella. It was better to stay away. But before everyone could fully recover, another tall and handsome Westerner also got out of the car. However, the feeling he gave people was even more different. In addition to being handsome, there seemed to be a kind of aristocratic aura emitting from his bones, making people fascinated. Many of the girls even covered their small mouths and almost screamed. They looked at the handsome guy with little stars in their eyes. The boys in the dormitory also noticed the situation downstairs. Someone whistled and screamed, Wow, look at the beauty. Brothers, come and look at the beauty. She's a stunning beauty. With a loud roar, the whole dormitory suddenly boiled. Many people stretched out their necks to look, revealing an infatuated expression. Tang Zheng had just returned from the competition venue. Just as he drank a mouthful of water and sat down to rest, he saw Sinosaurus stretch his neck to look out the window and even call out a beauty. Boss, Lao-san, Lao-si, quickly come and look at the beauty. Wow, a stunning beauty. Sinosaurus called out while drooling. Please, Lao Air. You're also someone who has seen the world. Aren't Ding Dang and that Li Xiaotian beauties? You see them every day. Don't you have any aesthetic fatigue? You even call one a beauty. Zhou Yin criticized. Wang Shiji nodded. Yes, Lao Air. Your aesthetic standards need to be improved. Damn. My aesthetic standards have long improved, but this one is really a beauty. Moreover, it's a different kind of beauty. She definitely won't lose to Yi Ding Dang. Moreover, she seems to have a kind of otherworldly charm, like a fairy that has flown down to the mortal world. Sinosaurus retorted. Is it as exaggerated as you say? I want to take a look. Zhou Yin said curiously. I also want to take a look and test Lao Air's eyes. Wang Shiji also went up, and the three of them stretched out their necks like giraffes. Zhou Yin and Wang Shiji shouted at the same time. Damn, Lao Air, you're not wrong this time. She is indeed a beauty, a top-grade beauty. I wonder what such a beauty is doing downstairs. Could it be that some brother has conquered such a beauty? Impossible. Look at what car she's in. It's a stretch Lincoln, a luxury car. This is definitely a white, rich, and beautiful woman. Could it be that there's a hidden tall, rich, and handsome man living in our building? No. How can an ordinary tall, rich, and handsome man be worthy of her? Wang Shiji corrected him. Then what is she doing here? You'll know if you keep looking. Lao San, don't just sit there foolishly. Hurry up and come over to admire. If you pass this village, you won't have this shop anymore. Sinosaurus waved his hand and urged. Yes, Lao San, Lao Air is telling the truth. It's better to be happy together than alone. Of course, we have to admire such a beauty together. You guys watch. Tang Zheng shook his head. He didn't dare to be interested in this so-called beauty. Damn, Lao San is really calm. If you had a girlfriend as beautiful as Ding Dang, you would also be calm, haha. Zhou Yin joked. Ding ling ling. Suddenly, a melodious ringtone sounded. When Tang Zheng saw the three words Fang Shishir on the screen, he immediately revealed a smile and quickly pressed the answer button. Shishir, why are you calling me at this time? Tang Zheng asked softly. It was night time in the Western Empire. I miss you. Fang Shishir's voice came from the phone. Do you miss me? Of course I miss you. How are you doing over there? Tang Zheng asked. After all, the two of them were too far apart. Although they would usually contact each other, these few days, Tang Zheng was so busy that he didn't have much time to contact each other. I'm fine. I'm going to give you a surprise this time. Are you looking forward to it? Fang Shishir said. Of course I'm looking forward to it. What surprise? Tang Zheng asked curiously. Where are you now? Dormitory. I guess you're in the dormitory. Why are you asking this? Don't ask yet. Go downstairs first, and I'll tell you what the surprise is. Fang Shishir said playfully. Tang Zheng was full of suspicions, but he didn't think too much about it and said, Okay, I'll go down right away. When the other three saw Tang Zheng rushing downstairs, they all turned their heads and asked, Lao San, where are you going? I'm going down for a while. As soon as he finished speaking, Tang Zheng had already disappeared. Sai, look, that beauty made a phone call just now. Who do you think she called? Zhou Yin asked curiously. Wang Shiji said, It must be a boy. Sinosaurus added, This boy has a deep relationship with her. Look at her smile. Wow, it's too sweet. It's sweeter than honey. It can melt a person's heart. Sai, it's a huge loss that Lao San didn't come to see. Tisk, Lao San has already gone down. He can definitely see it up close. Sinosaurus seemed to have awoken from a dream and shouted, Damn, Lao San is too unjust. Why didn't he remind us to go down and take a look as well? Look, Lao San has already gone downstairs. Suddenly, Wang Shiji pointed at Tang Zheng, who had already walked out of the dormitory building. Wow, Lao San is walking straight towards that beauty. What is Lao San doing? The three of them were confused. Not only the three of them, but the entire dormitory building was looking at the boy who walked out. Many sharp-eyed people had already recognized that he was the famous Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng was too famous in Yinqing University. Although he had only been here for a few months, his limelight had suppressed all his seniors. But what was he going to do this time? Tang Zheng didn't want to do anything, but at this moment, his heart was filled with a huge surprise. When he walked out of the dormitory building and saw that familiar figure under the sunlight from afar, his heart seemed to stop beating, and time seemed to stop. It was too inconceivable. Why would Feng Shishir appear downstairs? Wasn't she studying abroad? Tang Zheng was confused, but he also understood what her so-called surprise was. She was a surprise that came from afar. At this moment, there was only her figure in Tang Zheng's eyes. Even if there were many students surrounding them, they were all automatically ignored by him. Similarly, Feng Shishir only had eyes for him. One day apart felt like 3 years. In the past, Feng Shishir didn't understand the true meaning of this sentence, but this time, after being separated by thousands of mountains and rivers, she truly understood the joys and sorrows of it. Every day, her longing for Tang Zheng didn't decrease. Instead, with the accumulation of time, this longing became more and more intense, almost occupying her entire body and mind. Therefore, this time, she suddenly attacked Tang Zheng and gave him a big surprise. The moment she saw Tang Zheng, she felt that everything she had done was worth it. This surprise for Tang Zheng was also very precious to her. It made her forget all her troubles, and the corner of her mouth rose, revealing a sweet smile from the bottom of her heart. Chapter 367. The others watched all of this with their mouths agape. It wasn't until Feng Shishir threw herself into Tang Zheng's embrace that everyone realized that this wasn't a dream. This was real. This fairy-like beauty had actually thrown herself into Tang Zheng's embrace. Wasn't it rumored that Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang were boyfriend and girlfriend? Why was there another girl who was as beautiful as bubbles popping out of nowhere? Many of the boys looked at Tang Zheng with complicated gazes. They were filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. Especially the 3 members of Team 502, who were like puppets, asked blankly, "What's going on?" Zhou Yan had an idea and said, "Could this person be the other girlfriend of OL3 that Feng Yong mentioned? Damn, this is going to be a big deal. Then what will happen when this beauty meets Yi Dingdang?" Sinosaurus was shocked. Wang Shiji said, "A world war has broken out? Sai, we have no choice. OL3's situation is too big. We can only pray for his own good fortune." Zhou Yan sighed. At this moment, Tang Zheng didn't think too much about it. He only felt the soft and warm body of the person in his embrace, causing his heart to almost melt. Tang Zheng stroked her hair and asked, "Why are you back?" "I missed you." "Ah." Feng Shishir smiled like a flower. Hearing this, Tang Zheng felt her deep affection and wished that he could rub her into his body. He said, "Running so far, you're not afraid of hardships? Seeing you makes all the hard work worth it." Feng Shishir said sweetly. Tang Zheng laughed. Seeing the crowd around him, he finally let go of her. He also saw the luxury car not far away, as well as the 2 Westerners. Suddenly, his pupils shrank as he recognized Wales. His heart skipped a beat. Why would he appear here? Then, his gaze turned to Lewis. He thought to himself, who is this person? He's really a perfect combination of temperament and appearance. Feng Shishir left his embrace, feeling a bit embarrassed. Seeing Tang Zheng looking at Lewis and the others, she quickly pulled his hand and walked over, saying, "Let me introduce everyone. This is Lewis, my classmate when I was studying abroad. This is Mr. Wales, and this is my boyfriend, Tang Zheng." Lewis had already heard Wales introduce Tang Zheng's identity. At this moment, a strange look flashed across his eyes, but it was as if nothing had happened. He gracefully extended his hand and said politely, "Tang Zheng, hello, I've heard a lot about you." When Tang Zheng heard the name Lewis, he suddenly realized that this person was the young lord of the Rockefeller family. He just didn't think that he would be Feng Shishir's classmate. What was his motive for being so close to Feng Shishir? Tang Zheng felt a chill in his heart. He had a trace of vigilance, but he didn't show it. He said calmly, "Hello?" Feng Shishir looked at the 2 in surprise and asked, "Lewis, you've heard of my boyfriend's name before?" She remembered that she had never told him Tang Zheng's name. Why did he say that he had heard a lot about him? Lewis smiled and said, Sure, there's something you still don't know." Tang Zheng is participating in the Hua Martial Arts Conference. He's now a popular candidate for the championship. Ah, martial arts conference? Fang Shishir was shocked. This was the first time she had heard of this news, but she wasn't worried. With Tang Zheng's strength, he would definitely gain a lot from participating in the martial arts conference. There are still competitions in the martial arts conference in the next few days. Sure, you can cheer for him on the spot, Lewis said. Fang Shishir nodded without hesitation. Of course, I'll cheer for him. Sure, since you've already seen Tang Zheng, let's go back to the hotel first, Lewis said. Hotel? Tang Zheng frowned. Fang Shishir hurriedly said, I'll book the hotel myself. You're tired from the journey. Go back and rest first. I'll contact you later. Lewis persuaded. The hotel has already been booked. I'll tell you the address. You can come by yourself later. Fang Shishir declined without hesitation. There's really no need. My boyfriend will arrange it for me. Lewis didn't force it and said, All right then, goodbye. Watching the Lincoln car drive away, Tang Zheng withdrew his gaze. Fang Shishir looked at him suspiciously and asked, Are you jealous? He and I are really just classmates. This time he just happened to come to Beijing, so we can take care of each other. Tang Zheng chuckled. Why would I be jealous? I'm not that narrow-minded. Then why do I feel that you have hostility towards him? Tang Zheng was shocked. Her intuition was really sharp. However, this matter was very important, so he didn't want to say more and said, Maybe I'm not familiar with him. Fang Shishir nodded. Actually, Lewis is a good person. Everyone knows that his family is very well off, but he is polite to everyone and doesn't bully others. It's said that his family is a noble. Noble? Tang Zheng chuckled. The so-called nobles were all superficial. In reality, they did many dirty things that even they themselves didn't know. All right, let's not talk about him. Your school is so beautiful. You have to take me on a good tour. Fang Shishir said with great interest. We're almost at the restaurant. You must be hungry. Let's eat first. Okay, I'm not used to eating abroad at all. Our country's food is more to my taste. Speaking of food, Fang Shishir was a little drooling. Old 3. Suddenly, a member of 502 walked down. Fang Shishir's eyes lit up and asked, Your roommate? Tang Zheng nodded and said, Come, let me introduce you. This is my girlfriend Fang Shishir. This is Sinosaurus, Zhou Yin, and Wang Shiji, our dorm mates. Fang Shishir smiled. Nice to meet you guys. My name is Fang Shishir. Thank you for taking care of Tang Zheng. Haha, it's not us taking care of him. It's him taking care of us. The three of them said enthusiastically. They saw that although Fang Shishir was beautiful, she did not have an arrogant attitude. She was very amiable. It's our first time meeting each other. Let's eat together. Fang Shishir said. No need. It's not easy for you two to meet, so we won't be third wheels. Welcome to Yinqing University. Old 3, you have to take good care of the beauty. Of course. Sure, let's go. Tang Zheng pulled Fang Shishir and disappeared into the distance. Zhou Yin said worriedly, Just now, Fang Fei called me and asked about Tang Zheng and Fang Shishir. This matter is too sensational. Even their dorm mates know about it. Yi Dingdang definitely knows about it too. What should we do now? Dolong spread out his hands. It's just a cold dish. OL Third is a daring person with high skills. Since he dares to play this chess, then we definitely don't need to worry about it. Sigh. It's just that the difference between people is so big. At this moment, the 4 people from Yi Dingdong's dorm were gathered together. Yi Dingdong's expression was calm, while the other 3 were indignant, especially Li Fangfei, who gritted her teeth and angrily criticized. I really didn't expect Tang Zheng to be such a heartless person. I was wrong about him. Howden also nodded and complained. Right? This kind of man is too bad. If I were to meet this kind of man, I would castrate him. Lu Xian, who had been silent all this time, said. Immediately, the 3 of them shared a common enemy and said, Yes, castrate him. This kind of man is not responsible at all. Ding Dang, now that we have seen his true colors, we will cut off all ties with him in the future. The 3 of them talked for a long time, but when they saw that Yi Dingdang was still calm, they couldn't help but be surprised. Ding dang, don't scare us, don't do anything stupid. It's not worth it for this kind of man. Yi Ding Ding burst out laughing, as if nothing had happened, and said, You don't have to worry, I'm not angry. Not angry? He already did such a thing, and you're still not angry? Yi Ding Ding calmly shook her head. The three of them stared at her as if they were looking at a monster. They really couldn't understand her thoughts. Yi Ding Ding was indeed not angry. Ever since she made up her mind to be together with Tang Zheng, she had long expected this day to come, but she didn't expect it to come so quickly, causing her to be a little at a loss. Her heart couldn't be said to be angry, but it was a little sour. Ding dang. Who is that girl? My high school classmate? She and Tang Zheng were in the same class for 3 years, and she and I were in the same class for half a semester. The two of them were together when they were in the 3rd year of high school. Yi Ding Dang said tirelessly, but the three of them were stunned. They were extremely shocked. Ding Dang, you mean when you and Tang Zheng were together, you already knew of her existence? Yi Ding Dang nodded. The three of them looked at each other, unable to hide the shock in their eyes. They had already guessed that Yi Ding Dong's family background was not ordinary, but she was willing to make such a big sacrifice for Tang Zheng. They really couldn't understand. Was Tang Zheng really so good? Enough for her to throw herself at him like a moth to a flame? The three of them couldn't see through Yi Ding Dang, but they didn't say anything more. They just sighed deeply. The relationship between these people was too messy. Outsiders couldn't do anything. Only the people involved could solve this problem. Night fell. Tang Zheng had already brought Fang Shishir to Yinqing University to eat the delicious food near the university, and then came to a luxurious hotel. Now that he was not short of money, of course, he couldn't bring her to a small hotel near the university. When they walked into the hotel, Fang Shishir couldn't help but blush a little. Of course, she knew what would happen tonight. She couldn't help but look forward to it, and her eyes became blurred. They opened the door and entered the hotel. The hot air in the room hit them in the face. Fang Shishir took off her jacket, revealing a thin undershirt, and her chest stood proudly. It was very tempting. Tang Zheng's heart moved, and he smoothly hugged her waist, resting his chin on her shoulder, smelling the faint fragrance from her neck, and said, Thank you for your hard work. I'll take off your clothes. Let's take a bath first. Fang Shishir's body went soft, and she whispered, Don't be naughty. I'm so good. How can I be naughty? Tang Zheng said. His hands didn't listen, and took off her clothes one by one. Chapter 368. Under the curtain of night, in the presidential suite of another luxurious hotel, Louis held a glass of red wine and stood in front of the huge floor-to-ceiling window. He looked down at the brightly lit city below and said, These years, Huaxia has really developed too quickly, while our Western Empire has lagged behind. Many of our shortcomings have been exposed, and the people in our country have a lot of complaints. Wales stood behind him respectfully and said, Young lord, the land we are standing on is a fertile land. It is also a land full of vitality. 100 years ago, we didn't manage to conquer this land, but now the opportunity has come again. Louis smiled lightly and said, Once we conquer this land, then the conflicts in our country will be easily solved. Yes, that's why our family's plan is so far-sighted. We will definitely prosper and stand at the top of the world. Wales said, Has the matter with Tang Zheng been arranged properly? Suddenly, Louis's tone changed and became a bit cold. Wales shivered and quickly nodded. It has been arranged properly. He will definitely die in the martial arts tournament arena. At that time, the spirit of this country will definitely fall apart, and then we will have the opportunity to take advantage of it. Louis nodded with satisfaction. Very good. This Tang Zheng really surprised me. He is actually Shishir's boyfriend. Now I don't have to do it myself. Young lord, how can he be your opponent? You only need to use your little finger to crush him. Wales flattered. Louis said with satisfaction, This person is not simple, but he wants to go against me and steal my woman. Only death awaits him. In this world, those who steal a woman from me, Louis, can only go to hell. Wales thought of Fang Shishir's face and curiously asked, This subordinate would be so bold as to ask, Why is the young master so fond of this girl? I didn't find anything special about her. Louis smiled mysteriously. You will know in the future. Also, how is your investigation of the cultivators going? Young lord, a cultivator called the demon god has indeed appeared in the capital, but where this cultivator came from, I have not been able to find out. These past few years, the martial organization has been hunting cultivators. There were originally very few cultivators, but this demon god is the most powerful cultivator that has appeared in recent years. Wales said. Lewis's eyes flashed as he said in a deep voice, "Find him." "Yes, young lord." "Rest early, young lord. I'll take my leave first." After Wales left the room, Lewis lowered his head and looked at the wine cup in his hand. The dark red wine swirled in the cup as his wrist moved. "Tangzheng, you're dead meat. Fang Shishir, you can't escape from my grasp." His voice became extremely cold, and his eyes flashed. Bang! Suddenly, the wine glass shattered, and the wine and glass shards spilled all over the floor. His hand was cut by the glass, and blood quickly gushed out. Lewis looked at the wound, but his expression didn't change, as if he couldn't feel the pain. Blood gushed out and dripped down his finger. Suddenly, the blood stopped and returned to the wound, and the wound healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not long after, the wound and blood disappeared without a trace, as if his hand had never been injured. At the same time, Tangzheng and Fang Shishir started their battle in the bathroom. The bed, the sofa, the desk, the chair, every place had traces of their battle. This battle lasted until the second half of the night before the winner was decided and the losers were beaten. Fang Shishir lay in Tangzheng's embrace with a satisfied expression. The blanket covered their bodies, but Tangzheng could still clearly feel the captivating charm coming from her body. Seeing Tangzheng's fingers roaming her skin, Fang Shishir's heart trembled. She lazily said in a weak voice, "I don't have any strength. Please don't move." Just now, who was so brave and wanted to defeat me? In the end, who was the one begging for mercy? Tangzheng teased. Fang Shishir pouted and said, "Who told you to be so fierce? Isn't fierce good?" Tangzheng said with a mischievous smile, "Of course it's good. Alas, it's just that every time you torment me so much. I haven't seen you in so long. I can't help it." Fang Shishir didn't get angry, but smiled with satisfaction. "When I wasn't here, what did you do? Were you self-sufficient?" Tangzheng awkwardly coughed. When she wasn't here, Lu Qingmei replaced her, so he didn't need to be self-sufficient. "Girl, don't ask such a blatant question." Fang Shishir covered her mouth and chuckled. "We're already like this. What's there to be embarrassed about? I heard that you guys are all like that, so don't be embarrassed." "Shishir, why do I feel that after your trip abroad, you've become a lot bolder? Foreign countries are more open-minded." "Oh, how open-minded. I didn't do anything, but let me tell you, there's a girl in my dorm who goes on dates with different guys every day, and she doesn't even come home at night." Fang Shishir gossiped. "Then you can't learn from her." "I won't. I'm a good girl. I study hard every day and spend most of my time in the library." Tangzheng nodded. He still believed in Fang Shishir. "Are you confident in the martial arts convention?" "Of course I'm confident." Tangzheng's expression didn't change at all, but in his heart, he wondered what Lewis would do to deal with him. However, he would deal with whatever came his way. He wasn't afraid at all. Fang Shishir had already introduced Lewis in detail. This person was very rich, but very low-key. He was courteous to everyone, but obviously, this person was chasing after Fang Shishir. Fang Shishir had already clearly rejected the other party, but Westerners were more direct and bold. Although she rejected him, the other party didn't give up, but he didn't cross the line either. Instead, he was courteous to her. "Sigh, Lewis is good at everything, but he just won't let go of me. Even though he doesn't pester me, it's a little annoying sometimes. For example, I thought you would get angry and beat him up when you saw him today," Fang Shishir said. "Hee hee, am I such a petty person?" Tangzheng laughed, but in his heart, he said that he was a petty person. However, he didn't know the other party's background, so he chose to bide his time. Fang Shishir nudged him in his arms and said, "Of course I know you're not such a petty person, so I agreed to let him send me to school." "Does he know martial arts?" Tangzheng asked on a whim. Fang Shishir thought for a moment and shook her head. I don't think so. I've never seen him fight with anyone, and I don't feel any fluctuations of internal strength. Westerners and Huaxia people are different. Their martial arts focus more on physical strength, so there won't be many fluctuations of internal strength. Tang Zhang had fought with Westerners before, so he already had some experience. Anyway, I think even if he knows martial arts, it would be simple punches and kicks. Wow, you're not really going to beat him up by asking this, right? Fang Shishir asked curiously with her eyes wide open. Tang Zhang laughed. Don't worry, I'm not that reckless. However, he began to think. He really didn't feel any fluctuations of internal strength, but he always felt that this person had a mysterious aura that couldn't be shaken off. The next day, because Tang Zhang was lucky, he didn't have to participate in the competition, so he took Fang Shishir to walk around the capital. The two were full of energy and almost went crazy. The two's phones were turned off all day long, so they weren't disturbed by outsiders. At night, the two had sex for most of the night before they went to sleep contentedly. Morning, National Stadium. Tang Zhang held Fang Shishir's hand and walked into the stadium. Immediately, Fang Shishir was infected by the enthusiasm of the audience. The overwhelming cheers of Kung Fu Bro made her blood boil. Tang Zhang, they're calling you. Fang Shishir held Tang Zhang's hand tightly and said excitedly. Tang Zhang's expression was calm and asked, How do you feel? I didn't expect you to have such a big impression. Fang Shishir felt like she was dreaming. The two had only been separated for a few months. She was obsessed with her studies, but Tang Zhang had made such a big name in the country. Backstage, the two walked in and saw Yi Dingdang and Li Xiaotian. Yi Dingdang warmly greeted, Fang Shishir, long time no see. I didn't expect you to come back to China. Yeah, I came back to play for a few days. Yi Dingdang, which university are you attending now? Fang Shishir asked curiously. Yi Dingdang glanced at Tang Zhang. Obviously, Tang Zhang didn't tell Fang Shishir about the relationship between the two. She didn't point it out and said, Yinqing University, and I'm an alumnus of Tang Zhang. Oh, then we can take care of each other in the future, Fang Shishir said with a smile. Tang Zhang was a little embarrassed. He deliberately didn't mention Yi Dingdang to Fang Shishir in order to deliberately conceal the subtle relationship between the two. Li Xiaotian looked at the expression between the three people, and the corner of his mouth hooked up into a smile. He thought to himself, men really don't have good things. Eating in the bowl, looking at the pot. Fang Shishir also saw Li Xiaotian. She had already learned about the relationship between Li Xiaotian and Tang Zhang from Li Xiaotian. She didn't have much of a good impression of this two-faced beauty. When he was in Yinjing, it was thanks to her that he had a storm with the cold-faced killer Xiao Shaoling. If Tang Zhang's strength wasn't bad, he would have fallen in the hands of these two people. Fang Shishir, hello? I haven't seen you for a long time, and you've become more beautiful. Li Xiaotian smiled and said as if they were familiar with each other. Fang Shishir nodded faintly, which could be considered as a greeting. The drawing of lots began. Yesterday's match was very fierce, and it was a feast for the eyes of the audience. The four contestants were all experts. The Westerners fought against the Koreans, while the Siamese fought against the island nation. In the end, the Westerners and the Siamese won. It was said that these two battles were very tragic. In the end, they all saw blood. The Koreans' limbs were broken by the Westerners, and they directly became a cripple. It was incomparably miserable, while the Siamese Sampa won against the island nation with a little advantage. Therefore, today's three contestants were all experts, which attracted a lot of spectators. Today, this huge stadium had tens of thousands of spectators, and their enthusiasm was like fire. These three people drew lots, and another lucky person would be born. Just like Tang Zhang yesterday, he didn't need to compete and directly advance to the finals. Therefore, whoever drew the lucky lot this time would definitely make a lot of money. Chapter 369. After the drawing of lots, Tang Zhang was unable to maintain his good luck. He had to fight with the Siamese Sampa to qualify for the finals. Sampa was in high spirits and was very excited. I can finally have a battle with you. Then my trip this time has not been in vain, Songba said with high fighting spirit. Sampa's goal was very clear. He came for Tang Zheng. The champion of the martial arts tournament was not very attractive to him. This time, he would be able to compete with Tang Zheng in a fair and square match. This was what he wanted. This time, Yu Zhangkue appeared again. He looked at the two with a fake smile and said, "I wish the two of you a great victory. Go on stage." The Western Muta glared at Tang Zheng and said, "I hope you don't lose. I'm still waiting to fight with you." Looking at the burly Mutu, Tang Zheng's 1.8 m height seemed thin and small compared to his opponent's 2 m height. He said without fear, "Don't worry. I will definitely beat you in the finals." "Then I'll wait and see," Mutu said with a murderous look. Tang Zheng and Songba walked up to the stage, and immediately, the cheers of the crowd seemed to break through the sky. Thousands of pairs of eyes stared at the two of them, especially Tang Zheng, who was the focus of most of them. And Sampa did not seem to hear the cheers around him. He only had one person in his eyes, Tang Zheng. His fists gradually clenched. Under his dark skin, the veins bulged like pythons coiling around his arms. It was extremely terrifying. "I hope you will use your full strength to fight with me," Sampa said firmly. Tang Zheng said, "Then let's see if you have enough strength to force me to use my full strength." Sampa did not get angry. Instead, his eyes lit up. Facing such a strong opponent was a rare opportunity for him. Roar. Sampa let out a low roar as he tapped the ground with the tip of his foot. A steel-like flying kick swept towards Tang Zheng. Pa. The air was compressed and exploded. Before the flying kick hit Tang Zheng, he felt a strong gust of wind coming towards his neck. Sampa's first move was aimed directly at his neck. If he couldn't dodge in time, his neck would definitely be broken. This was an absolute killing move. Sampa had participated in countless underground boxing competitions, so every move and style was aimed at defeating the opponent, and also to make the opponent lose the ability to resist. Tang Zheng quickly raised his arm and blocked the side of his neck. Bang! The flying leg swept across the arm, but the arm did not move at all. Instead, the flying leg bounced back and swept across the railing of the arena. With a cracking sound, the railing was directly bent by the kick. Hiss! The audience sucked in a breath of cold air. How strong was that? Even the hollow steel pipe as thick as a baby's arm was kicked to pieces. Sampa had not yet landed on the ground when he attacked again with his elbow. This time, he went straight for Tang Zheng's chest. Tang Zheng also attacked with his elbow. When the two elbows collided, Sampa took a small step back. Obviously, in terms of strength, Sampa was slightly inferior. However, Sampa was not afraid. He would only be excited if the opponent was strong enough. The blood in his body was almost boiling and flowing faster. His tan cheeks were also a little red. He suddenly let out a low roar and used both his fists and legs. In an instant, he attacked 9 times in a row. As far as the eye could see, there were only afterimages. However, each of these afterimages contained a terrifying power that was enough to kill. Tang Zheng's counterattack was even faster. His hands seemed to have disappeared, and only afterimages could be seen. However, he completely blocked the opponent's attack. After a while, the two people's speed became faster and faster. Only 2 figures could be seen moving and dodging in the arena. It was extremely dangerous. The arena suffered. It was unknown how many holes had been added to it, and some of the railings were twisted like fried dough twists. This was the result of being affected by the impact of the 2 people. The referee who was originally standing on the stage saw this and had already jumped off the stage. Under such a battle, staying in the arena was simply courting death. The audience held their breaths. Although the previous few matches were exciting enough, allowing them to feast their eyes and experience the true charm of Kung Fu. However, this match made them understand the horror of Kung Fu and its huge destructive power. Those who were anti-martial arts shut up one after another. It was as if their throats were grabbed by someone, and they could not breathe. Who said that Hua Xia's Kung Fu is just showy and impractical? Let them see what this is. This is Hua Xia's Kung Fu. This is the real killing technique. The audience was in an uproar. They all shouted Kung Fu Bro's name. The cheers were like an avalanche. In the VIP box, Lewis watched the battle in the arena with burning eyes. Mutu stood beside him respectfully. Mutu, What are your chances of winning against him? Lewis asked. Muta said confidently, Young lord, I am very confident. Lewis's mouth curled up and said, Oh, you are so confident? Of course, no matter how strong he is only an ordinary human. How can he be my opponent? Muta said resolutely, Ordinary human? Haha, I didn't think that the martial artists in Huaxia could reach such a level. No wonder our Western Empire didn't obtain the final victory in the war 100 years ago. If we don't get rid of the martial artists, this country can't truly fall into our hands. Lewis's unclenched hands clenched into fists. Young lord, our defeat 100 years ago will not happen again. Under the leadership of the young lord, our empire will definitely occupy this fertile land. Muta said. Dong dong. The sound of knocking came. Mutu opened the door and saw Wales and Yu Zhangkue standing outside. Come in, Lewis said without turning his head. The two entered the room. Yu Zhangkue seemed a little reserved. He slightly bent his body and glanced at Lewis from the corner of his eyes. He quickly lowered his head again. Young lord, this is the chairman of the Martial Arts Association, Yu Zhang. Wales introduced. Young lord turned his head to look at him and nodded. Chairman Yu, I have seen all the contributions you have made for our Western Empire. You will receive double the rewards in the future. Yu Zhangkue immediately expressed his gratitude. Thank you, young lord. This is what I should do. You also arranged the draw very late this time, letting Mutu directly advance to the finals. Young lord said. Yu Zhangkue said. Actually, Mr. Mutu directly advancing isn't difficult. We just let Tang Tangjing live another day. It turned out that the previous draw was rigged. It had already been decided that the lucky one would be Mutu. This way, Mutu could directly advance and have more time to recover his strength for tomorrow's finals. Young lord, Siam Sampa is very powerful. If Tang Zheng loses this battle, then Mr. Mutu won't have to deal with him. Yu Zhangkue said courteously. Oh, you think that Tang Zheng is not Sampa's opponent? Lewis asked curiously. Yu Zhangkue glanced at the ring. The battle between the two was very intense. He pondered and said, Sampa is after all the #1 fighter in Siam. Tang Zheng may not be his opponent. Lewis snorted and said, Short-sighted. Yu Zhangkue jumped in fright. His expression changed and said, Yes, I only know a little bit of martial arts. I can't see who will win. Lewis said indifferently, Within 10 moves, Tang Zheng will win without a doubt. 10 moves? Yu Zhangkue's heart trembled. Was Tang Zheng really that powerful? Now it was obvious that they were in a stalemate. He couldn't see any clues. How could Tang Zheng win within 10 moves? However, no one dared to question Lewis's words. Everyone was focused on the ring. At the same time, Li Xiaotian and the others were also looking at the ring. Li Xiaotian muttered to himself, Tang Zheng's strength has really increased by leaps and bounds. He is really a freak. How can he be so powerful? Li Xiaotian said in her heart that according to Tang Zheng's cultivation speed, it wouldn't be long before she was surpassed by Tang Zheng. However, she didn't know that Tang Zheng's current cultivation was not inferior to hers. Sampa's excited expression had already become very serious. The light in his eyes was slowly fading as he clenched his teeth. From the beginning, Sampa's attacks were especially fierce and had reached his limit. However, Tang Zheng was able to receive all of them without being injured in the slightest. Moreover, Tang Zheng's strength was endless. Moreover, the more he fought, the more ferocious it became. Sampa was gradually feeling the strain. Tang Zheng didn't use his full strength from the beginning. Instead, he waited for the opponent's consecutive attacks. He wanted to see the power of Muay Thai. Muay Thai indeed had its unique points. It didn't have much inner strength, but the strength was fused into the muscles and bones. This was the result of countless tempering. This caused each of Sampa's seemingly simple attacks to be filled with killing moves. However, Tang Zheng had the foundation of true qi. The speed and strength of each of his attacks were superior to that of Sampa's. Therefore, Sampa was feeling more and more tired the more he fought. Gradually, cold sweat appeared on his forehead and dripped down his tan cheeks. Tang Zheng understood that he had squeezed out all of his opponent's strength, so he was ready to end the battle. He took a deep breath and his true chi surged. A trace of light appeared on his fist. This trace of light wasn't obvious, but Sampa, who was close by, saw it clearly. He couldn't help but gasp. Whoosh! A punch came. This punch didn't seem much different from the previous one, but in Sampa's eyes, it was completely different. This punch was like a mountain pressing down on him, giving him the urge to kneel and beg for mercy. However, Sampa wasn't an ordinary person. He gritted his teeth, gathered all the strength in his body, and met the punch with both fists. One fist against two fists. Tang Zheng's expression was calm. His feet seemed to have grown roots and didn't move at all. Sampa, on the other hand, broke the ring with a boom and sank in. His expression quickly withered and the light in his eyes gradually faded. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. At the same time, with a loud bang, the ring, which was full of holes, collapsed. Dust flew and the audience screamed. However, no one looked away because this scene was too exciting and unforgettable. Chapter 370. The audience stared intently at the man standing tall. In an instant, the cheers were deafening, and the three words Kung Fu Bro were shouted out in unison. This book is updated at high speed. Kung Fu Bro wins. Tang Zheng wins. The audience was in high spirits, as if they could melt the slightly chilly winter. One by one, they stood up and waved their fists in excitement. Sampa lay in the ruins, listening to the cheers. His expression was gloomy. He came with great confidence, but he did not expect that he would still be defeated. He climbed up from the ruins, looked at Tang Zheng, and said sincerely, "I lost. I accept it wholeheartedly." "You're not weak either," Tang Zheng praised. His opponent's strength was equivalent to a Xiantian martial artist, but he relied on the strength of his muscles without inner strength to supplement his strength. In the end, he would be powerless. The referee finally recovered from his shock. He looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated gaze and announced, "The winner is Tang Zheng." Sampa turned around and walked away, his figure somewhat desolate. Tang Zheng walked backstage. Fang Shishir and the others came up to him and said, "Congratulations, you've defeated another person." Tang Zheng nodded. "Let's go. Tomorrow's finals will definitely not be so easy." He was not too happy. Instead, he was somewhat dignified. That Mutu was definitely not as simple as he seemed. Moreover, he did not know what Lewis's next move was. "Tang Zheng, congratulations." Suddenly, Lewis and the others walked in. Lewis smiled and congratulated him. They looked up and looked at each other in surprise. Li Xiaotian was shocked. She had already guessed the other's identity. She did not expect that Lewis had already come to Beijing. Yi Dingdong's thoughts were relatively simple. She looked curiously at Lewis. She still remembered the disturbance on campus yesterday. She was guessing the relationship between this person and Fang Shishir. Fang Shishir smiled like a flower. "Lewis, you're here to watch the competition too?" "Yes, it would be a pity to miss such an exciting match." "Shishir, you have a very capable boyfriend." Fang Shishir nodded. "Thank you." Suddenly, she looked at Mutu. "Hey, you know this person too?" Lewis said, "When I was in China, I had some friendship with Mutu. This time, it just so happens that he's participating in the martial arts conference, so I'm here to cheer him on." Sure. Tomorrow is the showdown between your boyfriend and Mutu. I won't be biased because of you. I will support Mutu. You don't have any objections, right?" Fang Shishir said without a care. "Of course I don't care. I believe that Tang Zheng will definitely defeat him." "Then we'll wait and see," Lewis said mysteriously. "Tang Zheng, I'm looking forward to your performance tomorrow." Saying this, he casually patted Tang Zheng's shoulder twice and then left with the others. Li Xiaotian looked suspiciously at Fang Shishir and then looked in the direction that Lewis disappeared. She was very curious as to why Fang Shishir was so familiar with Lewis. Tang Zheng slightly shook his head at her, indicating that she should not act rashly. When there was no one around, Tang Zheng explained to Li Xiaotian the relationship between Fang Shishir and Lewis. Li Xiaotian was greatly surprised. This was outside of Li Palace's information. She mischievously asked, "So you and Lewis are rivals in love?" Rivals in love? Tang Zhang curled his lips. Sure is already taken. What kind of rival is he? It's just a one-sided love. That's not necessarily true. In this world, there's no wall that can't be dug out. He's not the typical tall, rich, and handsome type. You have to be careful, Li Xiaotian warned. Tang Zhang was not worried in the slightest. When it came to Feng Shishu, he was completely at ease. She definitely would not fall in love with someone else. Don't just make fun of me. Do you think that Louis came to China this time for some other reason? Tang Jing asked. Li Xiaotian did not understand and said, didn't he come to China for the martial arts convention? Tang Jing muttered to himself for a moment and said, even if he came for the martial arts convention, after the martial arts convention, what other methods do they have? Have you investigated? Li Xiaotian's face revealed an ashamed expression. Normally, she boasted that Li Palace was the place with the most up-to-date information, but this time, the Rockefeller family's intentions were very mysterious. Just as Tang Zhang said, after the martial arts convention, what other methods did they have? In addition, this Louis gives me a very strange feeling. His purpose in coming to China is definitely not that simple. Tang Zhang said solemnly. Oh, why do you say that? Intuition. Haha, intuition? Isn't it too vague? It's up to you to believe it or not. Doesn't your Li Palace boast that your information network is very powerful? Could it be that you can't investigate? Tang Zhang provoked. I know you're trying to provoke me, but let me tell you, this kind of provocation is useless against me. However, I will still investigate this Louis. I want to see what their purpose is, Li Xiaotian said. That night, Tang Jing and Feng Shishu still stayed in the hotel. However, the two did not have sex and instead cultivated. For tomorrow's decisive battle, Tang Jing did not dare to let down his guard. He calmed his mind and circulated the ancient clear heaven scroll and the dragon god technique over and over again, allowing his strength to reach its peak state. When the first rays of dawn fell on the earth, Tang Jing opened his eyes and bathed in the sunlight. His body seemed to emit a faint light, incomparably mysterious. The two of them arrived at the hotel's restaurant. This restaurant's breakfast was very special. The two of them had eaten it once yesterday morning and liked it, so they still chose to eat here today. The exquisite breakfast was served. The two of them chatted as they finished their breakfast and then took a taxi to the National Stadium. Today, the atmosphere in the stadium had reached its peak. There was already a sea of people outside the stadium. After a period of fermenting, the martial arts conference had become the focus of the entire nation. Many people had traveled thousands of miles to Beijing just to see the glory of the finals. The tickets for the finals had already been inflated to a sky-high price, but there were still many fanatical spectators who bought them. This was simply comparable to an international competition. From afar, one could see many people taking pictures outside the stadium. Although some people did not buy tickets, they still surrounded the stadium and felt the warm atmosphere. In addition, this finals was broadcasted live on the national network. Many reporters had flocked over, and the police had even pulled up a cordon to maintain order. Seeing this scene, Feng Shishu said, after this battle, you'll be equivalent to a big star. Many people will recognize you. This is just something I should do. As for being a big star, I've never thought about it, Tang Zhang said. Just as the two of them walked to the door, many people had already recognized Tang Zhang and quickly surrounded him. Many long and short guns were handed to Tang Zhang. Kung Fu bro, what are your thoughts on this battle? How confident are you in winning? The reporter asked. Tang Zhang chuckled. How confident are I? Mu Tu is an expert. In the last battle, he almost crippled the Korean player. There is no doubt about his strength. Could it be that you don't have any confidence? The reporter clearly misunderstood. When the other spectators heard this, they were furious. Hey, do you know how to speak? How can Kung Fu bro not have confidence? You're just a Westerner. What are you being so arrogant for? Kung Fu bro will win. Kung Fu bro will win. The others echoed. The crowd was excited and their shouts were deafening. The reporter smiled and said, Kung Fu bro, since so many people support you, what do you think are your chances of winning? Tang Jing said in a deep voice, since everyone believes in me so much, then of course I am full of confidence. What I want to say is that Hua Xia's martial arts will win. There is no doubt about this. Domineering, we will win. Seeing Tang Zheng's statement, the others were excited as if they had been injected with chicken blood. In the distance, Louis and the others also arrived. Seeing the movement on Tang Zheng's side, Louis asked in a low voice, "Wales, have you arranged it?" Wales smiled mysteriously. "Young lord, don't worry. Song Yu and Chu Xiaofeng have arranged it properly. This time, Tang Zheng will definitely die, and it will not arouse anyone's suspicion." That's good. What about the other thing? Young lord, I have worked hard and finally learned that the demon god has gone to Dianan. Dianan? Is it reliable? It's true. Then let's go to Dianan tomorrow. Demon god, haha, I'm looking forward to seeing him. Louis said. Not far away, Song Yu and Chu Xiaofeng were sitting in the car. Chu Xiaofeng's eyes were full of murderous light and hatred. He gritted his teeth and said, "This kid is dead this time. Haha, if we join forces, he won't die unless a miracle happens." Song Yu said, "Miracle? Haha, I've never believed in miracles. Tonight, let's get drunk and celebrate getting rid of this big problem." Chu Xiaofeng was a little impatient. "Don't be so anxious. The real show will be in a while. Don't you want to see Tang Zheng being tortured to death?" Song Yu asked. Chu Xiaofeng's eyes lit up. "Of course I want to. I dreamed about it, but I didn't expect it to happen so soon." "Hey, young Master Song, look over there. Yin Luyun. Why is he here?" Suddenly, Chu Xiaofeng pointed to a person in the distance. Yin Luyun. Song Yu raised his eyebrows. As the head of the 4 young masters of the capital, Yin Liuyun's name firmly suppressed several of them. He must have come to cheer for Tang Zheng. Humph. The Yin family is now trying to improve the relationship with the Ye family, and Tang Zheng is the breakthrough. This time, Tang Zheng made such a big move. Of course, the Yin family has to show the so-called goodwill. Chu Xiaofeng curled his lips and said disdainfully, "Humph. So what if we show goodwill? This time, I'm going to make Yin Luyun surprised and let him see how stupid the Yin family's decision to bet on Tang Zheng is." Song Yu sneered. "Haha, then I'd like to see Yin Luyun's wonderful expression later." Chu Xiaofeng said with an evil smile. Song Yu nodded and said, "I also want to see it. It will definitely be very wonderful, haha." Young Master Song, look over there. Qin Bat Ian and Li Hongqing, that slut. Both husband and wife have also come. Chu Xiaofeng pointed at the 2 people that had just appeared. They're walking towards Tang Zheng. I don't know what kind of charm Tang Zheng has. Even Qin Batian is so fond of him. It's strange. Song Yu said doubtfully. Chapter 371. Tang Zheng broke free from the encirclement of the crowd, and then saw Yin Luyun and Qin Batian walking towards him. He was slightly startled, and thought to himself that they actually came to watch his competition. Yin Luyun laughed heartily and said, "Tang Zheng, congratulations. The champion of this martial arts assembly will definitely be you." Tang Zheng said modestly, "We haven't fought yet. We still don't know who the winner will be." Yin Luyun said, "That Westerner is definitely not your match. We are very clear about your strength." Back then in the Battle of Longxiang Mountain, although Tang Zheng had lost, he had lost to Chu Mingxian. Chu Mingxian was a pre-celestial stage expert, so losing to him was not embarrassing at all, but everyone could see through Tang Zheng's strength. Qin Batian said, "Young Master Yin is right, that Westerner looks strong. He is definitely not a match for you in the Tang Tangjing." Qin Batian's words were filled with intimacy, causing Yin Luyun to continue to have doubts in his heart, as he did not know how the 2 of them had gotten to know each other. However, from this point, it could be seen that Tang Zheng was extraordinary. Qin Batian was a power that was independent of the 4 great families in the capital, and although he did not have as deep a foundation as the 4 great families, no one dared to underestimate him at all. "Young Master Tang, we'll be waiting for you to show off your might," Li Hongqing said with a smile. "Okay, then let's go in together." Just as he finished speaking, another group of people quickly walked over and shouted from afar, "OL3, OL3, all of us, 502, are here to support you." "Boss, I'm here too. Boss is killing Westerners. How can I not come and cheer you on?" Feng Yong also waved his hand from afar and shouted, Tangzheng, I brought the entire dorm to watch the battle. I wish you victory. Yi Dingdang and her 3 roommates also rushed over, but the 3 girls' gazes towards Tangzheng were clearly a bit unfriendly. Moreover, when they looked at Feng Shishir a few times, their eyes flashed with amazement. In their hearts, they thought that this girl was really beautiful and had a good temperament. Aren't you guys going to class today? Tangzheng was astonished. We can go to class anytime. Moreover, if we don't skip class in university, then how can it be called university? Well, 3, let me tell you, there are quite a few students in Yinqing University who are skipping class today, especially for you. Tangzheng raised his eyes, and as expected, many of the people who were entering the gymnasium were young students. This time, many of the students' emotions were all stirred up by Tangzheng, and felt honored. Of course, they had to watch this battle of the century. Sinosaurus said. T. Yang said. Yong. Said. Yong. Feng Yong also nodded in agreement. Boss, you won the championship this time. As your first underling, that's definitely the highest honor. You don't know, but now that I'm saying that I'm your underling, wow, many people are envious. Tangzheng did not know whether to laugh or cry. Little handsome brother, we also came to support you. Suddenly, Feng Xinyang's voice rang out as she and Yi Tianlei walked over in large strides. Yi Tianlei patted Tangzheng on the shoulder and said, Little Tang, do your best. Tangzheng did not expect that they would come to watch the battle. It seemed that his competition this time had really touched the nerves of many people. Feng Xinyang glanced at Feng Shishir, but did not say anything. However, their appearance made Li Fengfei and the other 2 especially nervous. After all, they were Yi Dingdong's parents, and seeing Dingdong's boyfriend with other girls, it would be strange if they did not fly into a rage. But the strange thing was that the 2 of them actually ignored Feng Shishir and chatted happily with Tangzheng. This scene made them feel very complicated. What was wrong with these people? Why were they so contrary to common sense? Everyone walked into the stadium and sat in the spectator seats. Tangzheng walked backstage alone, and Mutu was already waiting there. Mutu glanced at Tangzheng, not hiding the killing intent in his eyes. Tangzheng acted as if he did not see it, and sat at the side, waiting for the competition to start. The audience all entered the stadium, and it was very lively. Everyone was talking about how exciting this competition would be, and many people stretched their necks to look at the contestants' exit. On the VIP platform, Yu Zhangkue was dressed in a suit and leather shoes. He was sitting in the middle, and beside him sat a few fat officials of the Martial Arts Association. When the time came, Yu Zhangkue gave a speech, and then announced the contestants to enter the arena. When Tangzheng and Mutu walked out of the exit, the crowd cheered thunderously. Tangzheng's home field advantage was very obvious, and 90% of the audience was shouting his name. He waved to the crowd, and suddenly, the cheers became louder. At this moment, the stadium was full. The stadium with 50,000 people was like a celebrity concert, and it was very exciting. The 2 of them walked into the arena and stood face to face. The referee gave the order, and then quickly jumped out of the arena. The last battle had left a deep impression on him, and he did not dare to stay in the arena any longer. You're dead. Mutu pointed his index finger at Tangzheng and said, Let's see who dies and who lives. Tangzheng did not think much of it. As soon as his voice fell, the 2 figures rushed at each other. Tangzheng's height was not short among ordinary people, but compared to Mutu's huge height of more than 2 meters, he was a little thin and small, but this definitely did not affect his attack power. The moment he rushed out, his violent momentum made everyone's heart palpitate. At this moment, the strength he showed was even fiercer than in the last match. Song Ba, who was sitting on the spectator stand, had a pale face. He finally understood that the reason why he was able to last so long in the previous battle was because Tangzheng did not use his full strength. Otherwise, he would have lost even more miserably and quickly. Mutu did not retreat at all, and his fist rushed out. In a trance, Tangzheng heard a few sounds of bones rubbing together and saw Mutu's fist grow bigger. Yes, it had really become a size bigger. Tangzheng was shocked. This Mutu was indeed not simple. He had completely trained his muscles and bones to the point where he could control them as he wished. He could actually freely control his muscles and bones. As the fist grew bigger, its strength also increased explosively. Tang Zheng's thin and small fist collided with the huge fist, and Tang Zheng felt that his joints were cracking. This was the effect of an absolutely powerful force exerted on his fist. The pain caused Tang Zheng to subconsciously frown. On the other hand, Muta looked as if nothing had happened. Instead, the corners of his mouth cracked into a smile and he asked, "How does it feel?" Tang Zheng coldly snorted and said, "Not very good." His opponent's fist was a strength-type fist, and it was obviously not good to compete with him in strength. Tang Zheng was not stupid and immediately changed his strategy. His index finger and middle finger came together, forming a sword with his arm. His arm rotated, and his finger pierced towards Mutu. Mutu disdainfully curled his lips and still used his iron fist to open a path. Puff. When the finger pierced the fist, Mutu's expression suddenly changed, and he hurriedly retreated. This time, the strength that came from the finger was completely different, like a steel needle, incomparably sharp, piercing into his head, as if it wanted to cut his muscles and bones. This strange scene made Mutu immediately realize the danger. His expression became cautious, and he quickly retreated and asked, "What kind of martial arts is this?" "Sword technique," Tang Zheng coldly said. This was the heaven-flying immortal sword technique, but he did not use the war spirit sword to display it. Instead, he used his hand as a sword. Although the power was reduced, it still could not be underestimated. When he used the sword technique, the force produced was completely different from when he used the fist technique. It was even sharper and was not much different from a real sword. This was a new move that Tang Zheng comprehended after his strength increased greatly. Although it was still evolved from the heaven-flying immortal sword technique, he did not need to use other weapons to conceal his identity as a cultivator. When Muta heard the two words sword technique, his expression became more and more serious. He had never seen a sword technique that did not use a sword and instead used fingers. It was truly strange. So what if you have a sword technique? You will still die without a doubt. A fist technique and a sword technique immediately engaged in an intense battle. When Tang Zheng's finger slashed past, cracks appeared on the ground, as if a real sword had slashed past. And when Muta's iron fist struck the ground quickly caved in and cracked bit by bit. This time, the arena was not like the previous match. It was temporarily built with cement and steel bars, so when the two of them produced such a terrifying effect, the audience cried out in alarm. This was almost beyond their imagination. If such a move hit an ordinary person, how could they have a chance of survival? The two of them moved faster and faster, until it was dazzling. The audience was no longer excited, but their hearts seemed to stop beating, and their faces turned pale. This was the deterrent force produced by the two of them fighting, acting on them. Chu Xiaofeng stared at the arena. His expression changed, and his expression was a little complicated. He said, "How long has it been? This brat's cultivation has far surpassed mine. I wonder what realm he has reached." After a pause, he impatiently asked, "Young Master Song, why hasn't it acted up yet?" Song Yu was confident and said, "The spirit-dispersing pill's medicinal properties are overbearing, and it will never go wrong. Don't look at how fierce he is now. Let me tell you, the fiercer he is now, the faster his internal strength will flow. This will only aggravate the effect of the medicinal properties, and his cultivation will be reduced to nothing." Chu Xiaofeng's eyes lit up, and he sincerely praised, "Young Master Song, you have a way. You actually found this legendary spirit-dispersing pill. Tang Zheng is also an idiot. He was poisoned by us in the morning, but he didn't know. Haha, after the spirit-dispersing pill melts the food, it will be colorless and tasteless. Not to mention him, even a great scholar won't be able to discover it. No matter how high his cultivation is, as long as this spirit-dispersing pill acts up, then he will be powerless. As long as his cultivation is reduced to nothing, then Mutu can beat him into meat paste, and he will die without a doubt." Song Yu said proudly. Chu Xiaofeng enviously said, "Young Master Song, do you have any more of these good things?" Give me a few, and next time I meet something that doesn't open my eyes, I will also reduce his cultivation to nothing. Song Yu shook his head and said, Do you think this thing is the great strength pill sold on the streets? Let me tell you, I obtained this thing by chance, and after using it this time, I won't have any more in the future. What a pity. It's not a pity. Getting rid of this big problem is the most important thing. Chu Xiaofeng comforted. Suddenly, his eyes widened, and he pointed at the arena and said, Young Master Song, look, it's working. Chapter 372. Tang Zheng's attacks were getting sharper and sharper. The flying immortals from beyond the sky came and went like a ghost, making it impossible for Mutu to guard against it. But suddenly, he felt the zhenqi in his body become restless. It didn't listen to his orders at all, and started to scatter in all directions. This scene surprised him. Ever since he started cultivating, his true qi would also boil when the pure yang energy erupted, almost uncontrollable. However, the current situation was very different. The true qi was rushing through his 8 extraordinary meridians, as if it was going to break out of his body. Moreover, every time the true qi flowed through an inch of meridians, the vigorous true qi would disappear a little. The disappearance of the true qi had never happened before. When Tang Jing fought against his enemies, his true qi would also be consumed, but it would never disappear into thin air for no reason. But at this moment, his true qi disappeared into thin air. It was extremely strange. His movements were very fast. He saw Muta's iron fist hit his chest. He fiercely hit the railing of the stage and almost fell off the stage. The others looked at this scene in astonishment and cried out in alarm. Wasn't he supposed to have the upper hand? How could the situation change so much in the blink of an eye? No one understood what was going on. They could only watch as a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of Tang Zheng's mouth. Those with discerning eyes could see that Tang Zheng's situation was not good. Fang Shishir and Yi Dingding stood up from their seats and looked at Tang Zheng in bewilderment. Yi Dingding subconsciously exclaimed, What happened? Feng Xinyang and Yi Tianlei's pupils also shrank. They stared at Tang Zheng from afar and said, Something seems to have happened to him. Fang Shishir was a cultivator, but she was also puzzled by the changes in Tang Zheng. Not only them, the others were also confused. However, in the VIP seats, Wales excitedly said to Louis, Young Lord, look, there's a change. How did Song Yu and Chu Xiaofeng do it? Louis asked with interest. Wales shook his head. I don't know either. These two young masters are very mysterious, but it definitely isn't some honorable method. Haha, in this world, there are only means to achieve one's goal. There is no difference between the light and the dark. Louis said meaningfully. Young Lord is right. Wales flattered. Seeing Tang Zheng's decline, Mutu couldn't help but laugh. Tang Zheng, go and die. Tang Zheng took 2 punches and flew out of the ring like an angry dragon emerging from the sea. Like a kite with a broken string, he flew out of the ring in a sorry state. Seeing that he was about to fly out of the arena, Tang Zheng roared and grabbed onto him to stop him. He then quickly pulled his body back. Fortunately, he was not eliminated, but Tang Zheng was not happy at all, because in these few minutes, he discovered that 2/3 of the innate qi in his body had disappeared. The innate qi disappeared into thin air just like that, as if it had never appeared. This caused Tang Zheng to be both alarmed and terrified. What the hell was going on? Tian Chanzi had never said that there would be such a situation before. But now was obviously not the time to delve into this question. Muta's eyes revealed an ominous glint, and it was not just to defeat him. Without a doubt, this final match had already been upgraded to a life and death battle. Either you die, or I die. If he dropped the chain at this critical moment, Tang Zheng would not be able to keep his life anymore. F***CK. It wasn't easy for me to get to this point. I don't care what's going on. I have to win. I have to hold on to my life. Just as he nodded his head, he only had 1/10 of his innate qi left, and it was about to dry up. His speed was also getting slower and slower, and he took another punch. If not for the fact that he had already trained the chaotic Vajra spell to a certain level, Just these few punches would have been enough to take his life. Mutu became braver and braver as he fought. Although he did not know what was going on, he had already heard from Lewis that there would be a problem with Tang Zheng's body, so he was not worried about this match at all. Seeing that Tang Zheng's situation was becoming more and more obvious, his attacks also increased by a level. With a sweep of his leg, Tang Zheng's waist was fiercely whipped, and he was directly sent flying. He laid on the ground in a sorry state, motionless, as if he was dead. The gymnasium quietened down to the point where one could hear a pin drop. Everyone was completely shocked by this scene, so shocked that they were speechless. Kung Fu bro, what's wrong with you? Aren't you very powerful? Hurry up and stand up and fight. Beat down this Westerner. The crowd roared. Immediately, furious roars surged out like a tidal wave. Everyone was shouting Tang Zheng's name, telling him to hurry up and fight. However, Tang Zheng did not move at all, as if he was dead, causing everyone's confidence to instantly collapse. Many people even cried. Actually, it was very easy for love to turn into hate. When someone in the audience roared in dissatisfaction, "Bullshit Kung Fu bro, get off the stage and embarrass yourself. What Huaxia Kung Fu? It's all bullshit. Right? It's so embarrassing. It's best if you die. Huaxia Kung Fu is useless. It's just a scam." The voices of doubt grew stronger and stronger. These were all die-hard followers of the anti-martial sect, and there were also people sent by whales who were secretly adding fuel to the fire. Naturally, the public opinion was one-sided. Not only was the competition venue boiling, even the internet was boiling. Everyone's insults were endless, and the voices of doubt towards Huaxia's martial arts were growing stronger and stronger. Many people who originally believed in Huaxia's martial arts couldn't help but have their hearts swayed. They doubted whether their previous beliefs were right or wrong. At this moment, the status of Huaxia's martial arts in the hearts of ordinary people was slipping bit by bit. It could fall into the abyss at any time. Wales opened a bottle of expensive red wine and poured a small cup for Lewis. He smiled. "Young lord, our plan succeeded. To celebrate our plan, let's have a toast." Lewis had a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. He raised his wine cup and lightly clinked it with Wales's. He said, "Wales, the clan is very satisfied with your arrangements in Huaxia this time. When things here are over, it will be the time for your triumphant return to the country." Hearing this, Wales's eyes were filled with excitement. The arrangements this time were so grand that he came to the capital a few years in advance to set them up. Today was finally the day of harvest. Of course, Wales was extremely excited. He's already fallen. As long as Muta gives the last punch, he's dead for sure, Lewis said confidently. Some were happy while others were sad. Fang Shi, Yi Ding Dang, and the others were already as anxious as ants on a hot pan. Tang Zheng was already lying on the ground, unable to move. Although he wasn't dead yet, he was only a step away from death. "We must do something." Fang Shi clenched her teeth. She couldn't allow Tang Zheng to die just like that. Although she didn't understand what happened, she was sure that something bad must have happened to Tang Zheng. Yi Tianlei advised, "Don't act rashly. Even if we rush over, we won't be able to save Tang Zheng at such a distance." "But are we just going to watch him die?" Yi Dingdang asked anxiously. Feng Xinyang and Yi Tianlei were stumped. They didn't know what to do either. Qin Batian and Yin Luyun sucked in a breath of cold air. They felt that everything was too unreal. Both of them were martial artists and understood that it was impossible to investigate a person's performance to such an extent. Moreover, the changes before and after were so strange that it made them speechless. "No, we can't let anything happen to OL3. Suddenly, Sinosaurus shouted and led his roommates to rush towards the arena. But they were just normal people. Even Yi Tianlei couldn't save him. How could they succeed? "Boss, you can't let anything happen to you. You're my boss, so you should be very powerful. How could you be defeated by a Westerner?" No one answered them, and no one pointed them in the right direction. However, Mutu had already unleashed a thunderous attack. He used both his fists and legs to attack Tang Zheng, who was lying on the ground motionlessly. "Die, brat." Tang Zheng heard a tsunami of questioning voices. Hearing these voices, his heart became numb. What was going on here? But he didn't have the chance to think carefully because his life was at stake. The last trace of his Zhen Qi was about to disappear. When a cultivator lost their Zhen Qi, all magic would lose its source. His fighting strength would be impossible to talk about. No, I bear the heavy responsibility of learning Hua Xia's martial arts. If I fail like this, then wouldn't the Rockefeller family scheme succeed? Hua Xia's spirit will also be destroyed and disappear without a trace. Tang Zheng clenched his teeth as if he was stirring with a knife. I must immediately restore my Zhen Qi. Suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration. He remembered a very precious thing, Dragon Origin Pill. The Dragon Origin Pill still had a huge amount of energy. Last time, he only took one and his body almost exploded. If not for Lu Qingmei's help, he would have died long ago. If he took the Dragon Origin Pill now, the huge amount of energy of the Dragon Origin Pill could be transformed into Zhen Qi. Although there was still the danger of his body exploding, Tang Zheng didn't care so much. As long as he could restore his Zhen Qi, other dangers were insignificant. Tang Zheng lay on the ground. Others couldn't see his movements clearly. He took out a Dragon Origin Pill from his Sumeru pouch without leaving a trace and then quickly stuffed it into his mouth. The Dragon Origin Pill melted. Immediately, surging energy rushed into Tang Zheng's 8 extraordinary meridians like a flood. Almost in an instant, his body was filled with the energy of the Dragon Origin Pill. However, this was external energy and not his own Zhen Qi. Therefore, he crazily operated the ancient Clear Heaven Scroll and the Dragon God's secret art. The two divine arts immediately played a role. In an instant, he refined a lot of the energy of the Dragon Origin Pill and transformed it into his own Zhen Qi. His originally empty body was immediately filled with true Qi, just like a dried-up river that was once again flowing with water. In an instant, Tang Zheng was once again brimming with vitality. His dim eyes gradually became bright as the stars in the night sky. However, the others didn't notice this. Seeing Tang Zheng motionless, many people had already sentenced him to death. Many people couldn't bear to watch and turned their heads or covered their eyes. Chapter 373. The fist was about to hit Tang Zheng's head, causing the audience to cry out in alarm. Suddenly, two people jumped up and flew straight to the stage. Yi Dingdang and Fang Shishir rushed to the ring almost at the same time. At this moment, they only had Tang Zheng in their minds. Their only thought was that he couldn't die, but their speed was obviously half a beat slower than Mutu's. Suddenly, Mutu's fist hit the ground of the ring, creating a big pit. Tang Zheng's figure disappeared from under his fist. The audience shouted. What was going on? Where was he? Yi Dingdang and Fang Shishir stopped under the ring at the same time. They looked at each other and understood that things had taken a turn for the better. In the VIP room, the wine glass in Lewis's hand slipped and shattered on the ground. The wine splashed all over the floor. Tang Zheng didn't disappear, but his speed was too fast. The Dragon Yuan Pill helped him to raise his cultivation by several levels last time. This time, when it suddenly erupted, Tang Zheng didn't faint and forcibly endured it. This was thanks to the fact that there was almost no true Qi in his body, so the energy of the Dragon Yuan Pill didn't make him explode. But even so, the true Qi transformed by the Dragon Yuan Pill was still much more than the true Qi in his body, and there was still a large part of it that hadn't been completely transformed. Tang Zheng was like a person who was about to starve to death and suddenly ate too much. His stomach was about to explode. He had to move to consume some true Qi, but this time, his speed was much faster than before. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared. It was so fast that people couldn't react to it with their eyes. When Muta's iron fist hit the ring, Tang Zheng was already behind him. His two fingers were like a sword. With a puchi, he chopped Muta's back and penetrated deep into his skin. A huge wound split open and blood splashed. Muta let out a heart-wrenching scream. He raised his head to the sky and howled. His eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. Although he did not understand how Tang Zheng came back from the dead in an instant, he felt a strong sense of crisis in his heart. He didn't have much time to think. Relying on his instincts, he suddenly turned around, his eyes full of ferocity. At this moment, the flying immortals from beyond the heavens once again displayed its powerful might. Tang Zheng stabbed out with his sword, his fingers piercing Mutu's chest at lightning speed. The muscles on his chest immediately split open and blood gushed out. Tang Zheng could even feel the strong beating of the other's heart. His heartbeat was very fast, twice as fast as a normal person's. However, this was not the main point of Tang Zheng's concern. He believed that this sword could pierce through his heart and kill him instantly. However, the battlefield was ever-changing. Just like how Mutu did not expect Tang Zheng to come back from the dead, at this moment, Mutu, who was supposed to be dead for sure, actually burst out with a terrifying aura. Tang Zheng's hand could not pierce through. It was as if there was a strong force outside the heart that blocked his attack. Roar! An angry roar rang out. This roar did not sound like a human's at all. It sounded like some kind of wild beast. The sound shook the field and was deafening. Tang Zheng's pupils constricted. He saw an unbelievable scene. Muta's body made a series of crackling sounds. His clothes burst open, and strong muscles were exposed under his clothes. However, these muscles were different from human muscles. They were covered with hair. Tang Zheng looked up and saw that Muta's body had grown dozens of centimeters taller. He was now 5 meters tall, and his entire body was covered with long hair. What was even more frightening was that his head had also changed. It was no longer a human's head, but a wolf's head. He opened his mouth and revealed long fangs. His fingers had also become thicker, and sharp nails had grown out like sharp knives. In an instant, Mutu transformed into a werewolf. He looked down at Tang Zheng condescendingly, exuding an aura of death. This scene was completely shocking. Not only Tang Zheng, but even the audience fell into a daze. What was going on? Why did that Westerner transform? He even transformed into a werewolf. Suddenly, a member of the audience shouted, "Monster!" Many of the more timid people fainted from fright. Many of them rushed out of the stadium, but there were also some who stayed behind out of curiosity. This year's martial arts conference was too interesting. A werewolf had even appeared. This was a monster that only appeared in Western legends. On the rostrum, Yu Zhangkue and the high-ranking officials of the Writers' Association felt their legs go soft. They were lamenting in their hearts. Who could tell me what the F***K is going on? Yu Zhangkue looked at the VIP room with a pale face. He wondered what the Rockefeller family had found. Why did such a heaven-defying thing appear? This was a live broadcast on the internet. The scene from before must have spread all over the internet. This was going to blow up. The country had never acknowledged such things. This time, it had appeared openly in front of the entire country's audience. Furthermore, there was no way to deny it. Yu Zhangkue felt that his life had come to an end. He originally thought that he could retreat in one piece and go abroad to enjoy the life of a carefree old man. Now, it seemed that everything was just an illusion. In the VIP room, 2 wine glasses fell to the ground and shattered. The glass shards and wine splashed all over the floor. Lewis's eyes flashed. He gritted his teeth and said, "Why is it like this? How did Tang Zheng come back from the dead and increase his strength?" He even forced Mutu to reveal his true form. Whale's jaw was about to hit the ground. He only came back to his senses after a long time. He said in confusion, "Young lord, I don't know either. What should we do now?" "Humph, I didn't think that such a small matter would cause such a huge change. Wales, look at what you've done," Lewis said with a murderous look. The usually cultured and refined Lewis had disappeared. At this moment, his body was emitting a sharp and cold aura that made people shudder. Wales lowered his head, wishing that he could just bury his head into the floor. He said with fear, "Young lord, your subordinate has not handled the matter well. Please punish me." "Humph, let's clean up this mess first," Lewis said grumpily. "Then what do we do now? Let Mutu kill Tang Zheng first. This kid ruined our entire plan and forced Mutu to reveal his true form. This person cannot be left alive," Lewis said resolutely. Li Xiaotian had already stood up. He stared at the transformed Mutu and muttered to himself, "Demon beast. No, this isn't a normal demon beast. Demon beasts need many years to cultivate into a human form. This werewolf is clearly different. It's a new demon beast race. Yi Tianlei, Feng Xinyang, Qin Batian, and Yin Lu Yuan were all dumbstruck. They held high positions and knew more information than normal people, but they never knew anything about werewolves. What is this thing? Feng Xinyang asked blankly. The others shook their heads blankly. However, everyone's hearts tightened. The opponent was no longer human. Was Tang Zheng still his opponent? I will kill you. Mutu opened his bloody mouth and roared towards the sky. Tang Zheng's eyes were filled with killing intent. He never thought that things would turn out like this, but no matter what, he had to kill the opponent first. He was someone who had fought demon beasts before. How could he be afraid of a werewolf? Not only was he not afraid, but his fighting spirit was high. Kill! He roared and rushed into the sky. Rising winds and surging clouds. The first move of the transcendent flying immortal was unleashed. Immediately, a fierce wind rose from the ground and blew up the debris on the stage, forming a violent current that completely enveloped the two of them. Thus, from the outside, one could only see a fierce wind and sand filling the sky. The others couldn't help but hold their breaths. Was Hua Xia's martial arts this powerful? It was too terrifying. This didn't seem like martial arts, but more like an immortal technique. Many people who had originally doubted Tang Zheng revealed ashamed expressions. They were really frogs at the bottom of a well. They didn't understand how powerful Brother Kung Fu was. At this moment, everyone was more concerned about Tang Zheng's safety. This was not a battle with a human, but a battle with a demon beast. Tang Zheng deliberately used rising winds and surging clouds to block the other's line of sight. This way, he could use his techniques without restraint. Against a demon beast, ordinary martial arts were no longer effective. He had to use the methods of a cultivator because Tang Zheng already felt that he couldn't use his fingers as a sword to cut through the opponent's skin. This time, it was the real deal. With a thought from Tang Zheng, the War Soul sword quietly appeared in his hand. He raised the sword and charged forward. Muta didn't know where the War Soul sword in Tang Zheng's hand came from. At this moment, he could only raise his spirits to fight. Even though he had changed and his strength had greatly increased, the aura that Tang Zheng released at this moment was even more shocking. It actually made him feel the smell of death. Roar! Kill! The two of them fought fiercely, and the arena made of concrete and steel collapsed with a boom. Large and small pieces of concrete were blown up by the strong wind and flew around the two of them, blocking the line of sight of the others. The people outside could only hear the sounds of fighting and the wind becoming more and more intense, and the aura became more and more terrifying. The audience sitting in the front row felt as if Mount Tai was pressing down on them, and they all retreated backwards. A battle of this level was too shocking. If an ordinary person was affected, they would definitely die. Fang Shishir and Yi Dingdang did not retreat. They stayed outside the arena, close to the tornado. They opened their eyes with all their might and looked inside, hoping to see Tang Zheng's body. However, all of this was in vain. The storm was too big, making them almost unable to open their eyes. The two of them had their hearts in their throats, silently praying that Tang Zheng would win. Chapter 374. The second grade of Anidia was equivalent to a second-grade pre-celestial stage warrior, but his fighting strength was definitely stronger than a second-grade pre-celestial stage warrior. Tang Zheng originally did not expect himself to break through so quickly. After all, the dragon Yuan Dan could not be casually consumed, but this time, because of the effects of the spirit-refining pill, the innate qi in his body had been completely dispersed. Furthermore, the medicinal properties of the spirit-refining pill were extremely tyrannical. When he consumed the dragon Yuan Dan, a portion of the transformed innate qi was also dispersed by the remaining medicinal properties of the spirit-refining pill. If not for the fact that the energy of the dragon Yuan Dan was too strong, the innate qi would not have been enough. However, now that the innate qi was completely enough, and there was even an extra portion, it directly allowed Tang Zheng's cultivation to rise to another level, and it also prevented him from detonating his pure yang force, which was a complete surprise. Tang Zheng was in high spirits. The War Soul sword pointed forward, like a war god descending to the mortal world, awe-inspiring and inviolable. When Muta saw the changes in Tang Zheng, his heart could not help but tremble. He still did not realize that Tang Zheng was a cultivator. After all, the group of cultivators was too mysterious, and ordinary people would not be able to think of this point. Muta roared and rushed forward, his sharp claws directly grabbing at Tang Zheng. The steel bars and cement in front of him were cut into pieces like tofu by the sharp claws. Tang Zheng coldly snorted and shouted, "Die!" He thrusted out his sword. Puff! The War Soul sword directly cut off his sharp claws and pierced into his chest. This time, his chest was unable to withstand the attack of the magic treasure and was pierced through, the tip of the sword directly coming out from his back. Muta's eyes burst out with light, revealing a look of disbelief. He never thought that after transforming, he would actually be killed by Tang Zheng in a few simple moves. In the past, whenever he encountered a strong enemy, Mutu would transform, his opponent would definitely die, and he had never failed. This time, he actually died so quickly under Tang Zheng's sword. He used the last of his strength to ask, "Who are you?" Tang Zheng sneered and pulled out the War Soul sword. He took a step back and did not tell him anything. Instead, he stared at him coldly. Muta's chest was bleeding profusely, and his life force was rapidly draining away. His heart had already been pierced by the battle soul, and there was no possibility of him surviving. Remember, Huaxia doesn't allow you uncivilized barbarians to run amok, Tang Zheng said firmly. Bang! Mutu fell to the ground with a loud thud. His eyes were wide open as he breathed his last. Tang Zheng kept the War Soul sword and waved his hand. The gale disappeared and the debris fell to the ground. The audience saw the battlefield again. Only one person was still standing. This person was actually Kung Fu Bro. Wow, it was boiling. The entire stadium was boiling. Even the original anti-martial arts faction was completely conquered at this moment. This was the martial arts of Huaxia. Even when facing this kind of inhuman monster, he was invincible and invincible. In the future, who would dare to say that Huaxia's martial arts were embroidered pillows or three-legged cats martial arts? It turned out that Huaxia's martial arts were so extensive and profound. Many of the audience members had already rushed down the stands and rushed to the arena without a care for their own safety. Each and every one of them had a look of excitement. In the VIP room, it was a mess. The tables and chairs were turned into dust. Lewis looked coldly at the arrogant person standing in the distance, and at his feet lay Muta's corpse. Whale's face had already turned pale, and his lips were trembling. He raised his head to look at Lewis, then quickly lowered it. He could clearly feel the young lord's anger and did not dare to provoke him. Put away Muta's corpse. Lewis finished speaking and turned to leave. Yes, young lord. Wales also quickly walked out and found Yu Zhangkue and said, "Get someone to quickly take away Muta's corpse." Yu Zhangkue's legs were weak, and he could not even walk steadily. He slumped on the chair like a pile of mud, unable to do anything at all. Wales snorted disdainfully. Useless thing. He quickly walked towards the arena, obviously wanting to do it himself. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, a wave of hurried and orderly footsteps sounded. A large group of Heechang soldiers rushed into the stadium and went straight to the arena. They surrounded the arena in 3 layers. Whale's expression changed abruptly. He quickly stopped and took advantage of the chaos to quickly leave the scene. When he walked out of the stadium, he found that the entire stadium was surrounded by policemen. These policemen were all facing a great enemy. Their eyes were like searchlights as they scanned everyone. He did not dare to stay. He quickly found a weak spot and slipped away. He already understood that this unforeseen event had attracted the attention of the authorities in Huaxia. The sudden appearance of such a transformed monster on this land would definitely attract the attention of the national level. Next, Mutu's corpse would be sent to the laboratory for dissection. This trip to Huaxia has failed. Whale's face was ashen. When Tang Zheng saw so many soldiers blocking the audience outside and surrounding himself and Muta's corpse in the middle, he understood what had happened. This match was not as simple as it seemed on the surface. It had already attracted the attention of the national level. then the Rockefeller family's conspiracy would not be able to succeed for the time being. His expression was very calm. He was not in a hurry to rush out of the encirclement. Since the military had already taken over this matter, then of course there would be someone in charge. Sure enough, an officer walked over. Looking closely, it was actually Tang Zheng's old acquaintance, Kai Guibin, the commander of his military training. Kai Guibin looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated expression. Back then during the military training, he was quite fond of Tang Zheng. He thought that Tang Zheng was not simple and was a good seedling. However, later on in the border town, Tang Zheng went on a killing spree. His influence was very bad. In addition, Wu did not have a good impression of Tang Zheng at the time. Therefore, in the end, Tang Zheng did not even get any credit. Tang Zheng's connection with the military also came to an abrupt end. The military chose Takashi, but now Takashi's body was nowhere to be found. This caused the military's plan to promote elites from the university to die before it was even born. This made the boss who proposed this plan very angry. After that, Kai Guibin often thought that if he had chosen Tang Zheng as the focus of his training, perhaps that plan would not have died prematurely. However, seeing Tang Zheng again this time, Kai Guibin had mixed feelings. It turned out that he had underestimated this university student. The other party was truly hiding his strength. At that time, not only him, but everyone else had misjudged him. When Kai Guibin received this mission, he was also extremely shocked. A monster actually appeared in broad daylight, and it was even fighting with Tang Zheng. However, when he rushed to the scene and saw Tang Zheng safe and sound, and the monster lying dead in the ruins, he still felt deeply shocked. He walked in front of Tang Zheng and extended his hand, saying, "Tang Zheng, we meet again." Tang Zheng held his hand, nodded and said, "Commander Kai, long time no see?" "Yeah, long time no see." A scholar who has been away for 3 days should be looked at with new eyes. Today, I truly understand the true meaning of this sentence. Kai Guibin sighed. "Do you need me to do anything?" Tang Zheng calmly asked. "Come with us. Don't worry, we definitely won't make things difficult for you." Kai Guibin promised. Tang Zheng nodded and looked in the direction of the rostrum. He saw Yu Zhankue slumped in his chair, so he pointed at him and said, "Commander Kai, you better capture the chairman of the Martial Arts Association, Yu Zhankue. Maybe he will be of some help to you." Towards this traitor, Tang Zheng obviously would not give him the chance to escape. Kai Guibin nodded and signaled to the 2 soldiers. The soldiers immediately rushed over and grabbed Yu Zhankue. Yu Zhankue seemed to have awoken from a dream and immediately shouted, "I am the chairman of the Martial Arts Association. I am an official. What right do you have to capture me?" However, the soldier didn't want to talk nonsense with him. He directly smashed the butt of the gun into Yu Zhankue's head. Yu Zhankue screamed and immediately became silent. He was like a defeated rooster that was obediently taken away. Kai Guibin carefully observed Mudu's corpse and said in amazement, "I have lived for dozens of years and have never seen this thing. What kind of monster is this?" Tang Zheng blankly shook his head and said, "I also don't know. I only know that this guy was very fierce. If he didn't die, then I would die. So I spent a lot of effort to kill him." Kai Guibin gave a thumbs up to Tang Zheng and praised, "Your martial arts are really powerful. I have seen the videos of your previous matches. It was really exciting. You displayed the essence of our Hua Xiao martial arts." Tang Zheng waved his hand and said, "Commander Kai, you flatter me? I won't talk nonsense. I really admire you. You are the cornerstone of Hua Xiao's future. However, this time you caused such a big scene. How are you going to clean it up?" Kai Guibin sighed as he pointed to the sea of people in the audience. Seeing the military move out, many of the audience did not quickly leave the arena. Instead, they looked as if they had been injected with chicken blood and were watching from afar. This matter was too sensational. To be able to see it with their own eyes, there was not a single audience member who did not feel that this match was worth it. Even if they bought a high-price ticket, it was definitely worth the price of the ticket. Tang Zheng shrugged. The government would find a way to explain. This was not a problem for him to worry about. As for whether the public believed it or not, that was another matter. Seeing that Fang Shishir, Yi Dingding and the others were also blocked outside by the army, he said to Kai Guibin. I will first go and say a few words to my friends, then we will leave. Is that okay? Go ahead. As long as you don't run away, I will have completed my task. Kai Guibin smiled. Tang Zheng walked to the side of a few people. Those who were familiar with him all squeezed over. The way they looked at him had already changed, especially the few ordinary people who were directly speechless. At this moment, although Tang Zheng had restrained himself, the murderous aura on his body was still very strong. It was so sharp that ordinary people did not dare to underestimate him. Fang Shishir and Yi Dingdang were not affected. The two of them seemed to have a tacit understanding as they searched Tang Zheng's body. At the same time, they kept asking, Are you hurt? Being pincered by two great beauties could be said to be a blessing. Tang Zheng was very thick-skinned, but with so many people looking at him, he could not help but blush. He hurriedly said, I'm fine. Only then did the two of them feel relieved. They stood on either side of Tang Zheng. No matter how they looked at it, it looked like he was hugging two beauties. Chapter 375. Yin Luyun and Qin Batian looked at Tang Zheng with a smile that was not a smile. In front of Yi Tianlei and his wife, Tang Zheng was really too ferocious. By CI who has already been recorded. However, this was someone else's family matter, so they would not ask about it. On the other hand, the members of 502 were very envious. They thought to themselves that their third brother was really awesome. He even dared to do this in front of his mother-in-law. He was not afraid of death. Everyone asked about Tang Zheng's well-being for a moment. Seeing that Tang Zheng was indeed fine and that the military was still waiting, they did not ask any more questions. Tang Zheng found Li Xiaotian and walked to the side. He said in a low voice, This Mutu was sent by the Rockefeller family. You can use this as a clue to investigate the background of Mutu and the Rockefeller family. The other party has a werewolf, which is even more complicated than we thought. We can't let our guard down. If it was an ordinary martial artist, even if his martial arts were a little higher, Tang Zheng would not be so cautious. However, the appearance of the werewolf clearly exceeded the scope of a martial artist. This made him wonder if there were still cultivators abroad when New Era used a formation to send cultivators to the sky beyond heaven. On this point, he had to ask the five-clawed golden dragon for advice. However, he had to deal with the military's investigation first. Tang Zheng left with the military alone. He was taken to a well-guarded military base. The military personnel asked him in detail about the details of his fight with Mutu. Tang Zheng hid the fact that he had used magic and recounted the process of his fight with Mutu in detail. The military did not make things difficult for him. Tang Zheng had been dragged into this storm by accident. It could be said that it was an unexpected disaster. Moreover, he had won the championship and won glory for the country, so the soldiers had a good impression of him. Kai Guibin smiled and asked, How do you feel about winning the championship? Tang Zheng shrugged his shoulders and said, You don't feel much? Why would you suddenly want to participate in this martial arts convention? As far as I know, this martial arts convention has been held for a few times, but every time, it is the people from the Martial Arts Association who are playing monkey shows. Not many real martial artists are willing to join in the fun. Kai Guibin asked the question in his heart, Commander Kai, do you know that this martial arts convention is a huge conspiracy? Tang Zheng asked in a deep voice. Kai Guibin's heart trembled. He restrained his relaxed expression and asked, What conspiracy? This is a big conspiracy of the Western Empire's Rockefeller family colluding with Yu Zhangkue. Tang Zheng told him everything he knew about Yu Zhangkue and the Rockefeller family colluding. Suddenly, Kai Guibin's face became more and more gloomy. In the end, he slammed his hand on the table and angrily shouted, Traitor! Yu Zhangkue actually has such a big dog balls, daring to betray the interests of the country. Tang Zheng jokingly said, Nowadays, there are many officials who betray the interests of the country for their own benefits. Yu Zhangkue is not an exception, right? Kai Guibin coldly snorted and said, Our military usually does not interfere with the local government's matters, but seeing these vermin act so perversely is simply an insult to our soldiers. Our soldiers rely on their blood to protect this country, but they are being used as bargaining chips in exchange for benefits. This kind of black sheep must be severely punished. Commander Kai, the Rockefeller family must have bribed more than just Yu Zhangkue. The key is to find the other vermin and guard against their other conspiracies. Tang Zheng reminded. Kai Guibin nodded in agreement. That is natural. The information you provided is very valuable. We will definitely investigate immediately. Actually, if necessary, it is best to bring back the Rockefeller family's young Lord Louis for investigation. Perhaps there will be unexpected gains. Tang Zheng suggested. I will report to my superiors. Kai Guibin solemnly said, I will send you out first. If there is any news, I will promptly inform you. If you have any new discoveries, please also inform me. Kai Guibin gave Tang Zheng a phone number for easy contact. The two of them walked out of the interrogation room and saw 3 people quickly walking over from afar. Tang Zheng's pupils shrank and his nerves immediately tensed up. Kai Guibin also looked at the 3 people in front of him suspiciously and said, Instructor Wu, why are you here? The people who came were the Great Elder and 4th Elder of the martial sect. Previously, the 3rd Elder had mysteriously disappeared, causing the martial sect to suffer a great loss. After Wu returned, he was reprimanded by the sect master and the other 3 elders. The martial sect also became cautious. The whereabouts of the demon god had appeared in the capital, and there were definitely other unknown dangers lurking. Otherwise, why would the 3rd Elder's life and death be unknown? Of course, the martial sect also launched an investigation on Tang Zheng. In the end, they believed that with Tang Zheng's strength, it was impossible for him to silently kill the 3rd Elder. There were definitely other experts, most likely other powerful cultivators, which was why the 3rd Elder had met with such a mishap. No one would have thought that Tang Zheng would lure the 3rd Elder to the underground of the imperial city under Wu's nose and feed him to the 5-clawed golden dragon. This time, Wu and the 2 elders came to the capital once again. As soon as they arrived, they heard about the unbelievable things that happened at the martial arts assembly. The appearance of the werewolf immediately attracted the attention of the 3 of them. They quickly realized that the situation had become unprecedentedly grim. As a result, they rushed to this military base without stopping. The relationship between the martial sect and the military was not shallow, so naturally, they were unimpeded. As soon as they entered, they saw Tang Zheng, so the 3 of them immediately walked over. Wu looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated expression. Last time, she had suffered a loss at the hands of Tang Zheng, which made her feel bitter. You are Tang Zheng? The Great Elder was a skinny old man. Even his eyebrows were white and his eyes were like a hawk's. The 4th Elder was slightly younger, but his face was gloomy. It was as if his face was covered in a layer of frost. These 2 were not good people, so Tang Zheng had no choice but to be on high alert. If the other party discovered his identity as a cultivator, it would be difficult for him to escape even if he had wings. It's me, Tang Zheng said in a deep voice. Let's see where you can run to now, the Great Elder said with killing intent. Tang Zheng really had the urge to run away, but he endured it. He glanced at Wu and said, Why should I run? I didn't do anything bad. You didn't do anything bad? You are going against the martial sect? Do you still want to quibble? Haha, when did I go against the martial sect? It's true that your martial sect wants to kill me, but you guys are the ones who complained first. Tang Zheng thought that he did not have any flaws. His aura was like a rainbow, and he was not afraid of the other party's threats. Do you think that with the Ye family supporting you, you can provoke the martial sect? Tang Zheng's expression did not change as he said, There is always a reason in this world. Could it be that you are allowed to deal with others for no reason and not allow others to resist? Sophistry, sophistry, the Great Elder angrily shouted. His body moved, and he grabbed towards Tang Zheng. However, Kai Guibin's movements were also very fast. He immediately protected Tang Zheng and stopped him. Everyone, if you have something to say, let's talk about it. This is a military area. You cannot easily use force. The Great Elder stopped and looked at Kai Guibin with disdain. When did it become your military's turn to point fingers at our martial sect's actions? Kai Guibin did not know what kind of organization the martial sect was, but he knew that the other party's identity was not ordinary. However, he still did not back down and protected Tang Zheng, saying, Tang Zheng is an honorable guest of the military. Everyone is so powerless. Aren't you looking down on the military too much? Following Kai Guibin's words, a large group of armed soldiers surrounded them and pointed their guns at the martial sect. To these soldiers, they did not care about the martial sect. If they dared to provoke the military in the military base, wouldn't they be courting death? The silent marshal finally spoke and said, Great Elder, please do not be impatient. We are here to investigate the werewolf. Let's go to the autopsy room to take a look. The Great Elder clenched his teeth and fiercely glared at Tang Zheng, saying, All right, Tang Zheng will also go. I want to see how he killed the werewolf. Tang Zheng, let's go. Let's go together. Kai Guibin patted Tang Zheng's shoulder and said. The few of them walked into the tightly guarded autopsy room. Several white coats were operating scalpels on Mutu's corpse. Although it was already winter, the white coats were sweating profusely. The nurses beside them were constantly wiping their sweat. No, this scalpel is useless again. This werewolf's body is too hard. It's better to just use a chainsaw to cut it open. A white coat threw away the broken scalpel in his hand and helplessly said. Suddenly, a few people walked in. The white coat asked, Why are there so many people coming in? Can't you see that we are working? The martial sect trio acted as if they did not hear anything. They directly walked to the front of the operating table and squeezed the white coats to the side. Kai Guibin hurriedly comforted the man in the white coat, indicating for them to calm down. The man in the white coat obviously knew Kai Guibin and complained, Leader Kai, this werewolf's skin is too hard. Even the scalpel couldn't cut through his skin. I don't know what kind of sharp weapon actually pierced through his chest. Tang Zheng's spirit trembled. He used war spirit to kill Mutu. He did not want the martial sect people to see any clues. The martial sect trio surrounded the werewolf and carefully examined it. The Great Elder muttered to himself, Demonic beasts need hundreds of years to evolve into human form. This werewolf clearly does not have hundreds of years of lifespan, but it can freely change between human and beast. It is really strange. The fourth elder agreed. This is completely different from what we know. It seems that in the past, we only paid attention to the situation in Huaxia and ignored the situation outside. The Great Elder nodded, obviously agreeing with this point of view. Although the martial sect's strength was huge, it was limited to the land of Huaxia. If it was outside, they would still be unable to touch it. The Great Elder grabbed a scalpel that had already broken open and directly slashed at Mutu's chest. Seeing this, the white coats hurriedly shouted, The scalpel is useless. Moreover, you are using it to break open the mouth. The Great Elder acted as if he did not hear anything. The scalpel directly cut Mutu's chest. The originally hard skin under the scalpel was like tofu being cut open bit by bit. Chapter 376. The reason why the scalpel had such power was because of the Great Elder's inner strength. Of course, it could cut open Mutu's body. The word is already written, this is a sword wound. Where's your weapon? The Great Elder asked Tang Zheng. I put it away. Tang Zheng said without changing his expression. As far as I know, the martial arts convention prohibits the use of weapons. The Great Elder said, Meeting such a monster, could it be that I still have to stick to the rules? Tang Zheng asked back. His heart was in a mess. If the other party insisted on the sword wound, then he might be exposed. After all, when he went up on stage, everyone present noticed that he did not carry any weapons. But the Great Elder did not insist on this question. After all, it was normal for a martial artist to hide a weapon. Don't look at the Great Elder's empty hands. If he were to fight, his weapon would appear in his hands at any time. The Great Elder did not notice this flaw when he judged others from his own perspective. This werewolf died at your hands. It was only at the level of a prenatal martial artist. It wasn't that strong. Humph. Although the Western Empire has these monsters, their strength is still too weak. They can't do much. The Great Elder said disdainfully. Marshall, who had been silent all this time, opened her mouth and said, Great Elder, this thing no longer belongs to humans. No matter which country it is from, we should get rid of it to prevent future troubles. The fourth elder agreed. Marshall's words are correct. Then let's kill all these monsters. The great elder did not take it seriously and said with a murderous look. The white coat man did not understand what they meant and interrupted. This is a new species. If it has similar species, then it is best to capture it alive. It has great scientific significance. Marshall and the other two did not pay any attention to the white coat man and walked out of the dissection room. Seeing this, Tangjung did not want to stay any longer. He hurriedly said goodbye to Kai Guibin and quickly left the military base and returned to school. When the other three saw that Tangjung had returned, they immediately shouted excitedly and asked Tangjung what the military would do. Tangjung gave a perfunctory reply and did not elaborate further. The three of them didn't seem to mind as they continued. Third brother, this incident has caused a huge uproar on the internet. Everyone is talking about that werewolf. Tangjung had already expected this outcome, but the appearance of the werewolves had disrupted all his plans. Third brother, the government has already started to refute the rumors. They said that the werewolf was disguised as a human and deliberately wore a mask to scare people. Damn, do you really think we're fools? When the werewolf transformed, the tens of thousands of people in the audience saw it clearly. The eyes of the crowd are as clear as snow, so there's no way to quibble. Sinosaurus curled his lips and said disapprovingly. Tangjing indeed understood the good intentions of the officials. If this matter was allowed to spread, it would definitely cause panic in society. In order to stabilize the situation, the officials would definitely lie. Right now, the video of the martial arts assembly has been completely edited out. Most of the netizens were amazed by the situation at that time. Before they could download the video of the transformation was erased by the officials. What a pity. Wang Shiji also said with regret. Zhou Yin explained, didn't you see? There are already people arguing on the internet. Many people who didn't watch the live broadcast don't believe that there are werewolves, so now there are two factions on the internet, arguing endlessly. Tangjung smiled and said, this is the situation that the officials hope to see. As long as the people discuss it and some people don't believe it, it will naturally fade away bit by bit. TSK, I don't care if others believe it or not. In any case, the people watching this scene all believe in the existence of werewolves. I really didn't expect that there would really be legendary monsters in our world. Hee hee, just thinking about it makes me feel magical. Sinosaurus's eyes lit up as he said excitedly. Second bro, why are you so excited? Could it be that you want to fall in love with a human? Zhou Yin teased. Sinosaurus said, this is just my imagination. How could it be that easy? However, if I really have the ability to fly in the sky and burrow into the ground, I might really fall in love with a human. Hearing that, Tang Zheng's heart skipped a beat. Since the three of them already believed in the existence of demons, then what if he told them about cultivators? They had already eaten essence cultivating pills for a period of time, and their bodies had already improved greatly. If they started cultivating, they would definitely get twice the result with half the effort. However, in the end, Tangjung decided to keep it a secret for the time being. The people from the martial sect had also arrived in the capital, and if they were to take them on the path of cultivators at this time, it would be no different from pushing them into a pit of fire. I'm guessing that the officials will definitely use other things to attract the attention of the public. If you don't believe me, look, maybe there will be big news tomorrow, causing the matter of the werewolves to gradually fade out of people's sight. Zhou Yin speculated confidently. However, Zhou Yan's judgment was correct. The next day, the officials launched a new round of tiger hunting campaign, which was to punish corrupt officials. Many high and mighty corrupt officials were beaten down to the mortal world, including the chairman of the Martial Arts Association, Yu Zhangkue. This was the result of the investigation based on the information provided by Tangjung. The Rockefeller family had indeed bribed many officials, and there was nothing absolutely confidential in this society. As long as one was ruthless enough to investigate, these officials were not flawless to begin with, so naturally, they would be able to find out the truth. Immediately, a campaign to punish corrupt officials was set off in the land of Huaxia, causing the commoners to clap their hands in joy and quickly forget about the werewolves. Of course, this was a story for later. Li Xiaoyan's call interrupted the big discussion in room 502 because Lewis and Wales seemed to have disappeared from the face of the earth. The Li Palace actually did not manage to find their whereabouts. Ever since the end of the martial arts assembly, the two of them had disappeared without a trace. This caused the people who wanted to find Lewis to find out what was going on to fail. Tang Zheng could only sigh. This Lewis was indeed a cunning fox. He retreated when he saw that the situation was not good. Otherwise, he would have definitely been invited to tea by the military. Tang Zheng had no choice but to temporarily throw the other party to the back of his mind. This was for the military and the government to worry about. He had more important things to do. In the middle of the night, he came to the underground of the imperial city. He had a stomach full of questions to ask the five-clawed golden dragon. When the five-clawed golden dragon saw Tang Zheng come alone, it glared at him in dissatisfaction and said, "Didn't I tell you to bring Xiao by here last time? Why are you alone again? Next time I will definitely bring Xiao Bai to accompany you for a few days." Tang Zheng had already forgotten about this matter, so he quickly promised, "Humph, I will let you go this time. Next time if you dare to lie to me, I will make you suffer." The five-clawed golden dragon threatened. Suddenly, the five-clawed golden dragon lowered its head and stared at Tang Zheng without blinking, and said curiously, "Hey, I feel that your cultivation has broken through again." Tang Zheng said that the five-clawed golden dragon's senses were really sharp, so he did not hide it and said truthfully, "I have already broken through to the second grade of the fasting realm." The five-clawed golden dragon was overjoyed and exclaimed, "Haha, Skywalkers are really not ordinary. You broke through so quickly, it seems that I am just around the corner." Tang Zheng smiled bitterly. The difference between the fasting realm and the immortal realm was thousands of miles. It was still too early. "Golden Dragon, I have a question to ask." The five-clawed golden dragon was in a good mood and asked, "What question?" When New Era used a secret technique to drive the cultivators to the sky beyond heaven, were the cultivators in Huaxia really affected? Tang Zheng asked. The five-clawed golden dragon looked at Tang Zheng suspiciously and asked, "Other than the land of Huaxia, are there any other places that have cultivators?" "Ah, could it be that cultivators are a unique existence in the land of Huaxia?" Tang Zheng was surprised. Of course, the other places are barbarian lands with thin spiritual energy. How could cultivators appear in those places? The five-clawed golden dragon said. Tang Zheng was confused. This ancient world of cultivators was too magical. The world was so big, but only the land of Huaxia gave birth to cultivators. As if he could see through Tang Zheng's doubts, the five-clawed golden dragon continued, "The land of Huaxia is a land blessed by the heavens. Of course, it is a land blessed by the heavens and enjoys benefits that no other place can match. Do you know why the ancient country of Huaxia was the center of the world in ancient times, and why all the countries came to pay homage to it? Because the country is strong," Tang Zheng said as a matter of course. The five-clawed golden dragon snorted, "Nonsense. At that time, the reason why ancient Huaxia was strong was because of the existence of cultivators. This made ancient Huaxia stronger than any other country. No country could match it, and this created that glorious period." Tang Zheng was shocked. New Era used tricks to expel the cultivators, leaving only the warriors in the world. Although he still created a new dynasty, without the support of the cultivators, the country's strength weakened bit by bit. More than 100 years ago, it declined to the extreme and was directly invaded by many countries. The land of Huaxia almost completely fell. If the land of Huaxia wants to prosper, we must let the cultivators return to this world. That way, Huaxia will definitely be able to stand at the top of the world, and other countries will not be able to contend against it. The five-clawed golden dragon added. Tang Zheng's mind was in turmoil. He was at a loss. The cultivators would definitely take revenge when they returned, and that would definitely set off a bloody storm. But if the cultivators did not return, Huaxia's strength would not be able to contend against foreign countries, and the weak countries had no diplomacy, their status would not be guaranteed, and the lives of the people would naturally be affected. "Skywalker, you're not the Emperor. Why are you thinking about this?" The five-clawed golden dragon looked at his tightly knitted brows and guessed what he was thinking, so he explained. Tang Zheng suddenly realized, that's right, he was worried about the salty radish. With his little cultivation, how could he have the qualifications to consider such a complicated problem? It was more important to raise his cultivation first. As for whether or not the cultivators would return, it wouldn't be too late to think about it when the time came. Tang Zheng no longer thought about it. He calmed down and comprehended today's gains. The battle with the werewolf, especially the matter of his innate qi suddenly disappearing into nothingness, made him puzzled. He had to find out what was going on. Chapter 377. After confirming this crucial point, Tang Zheng's anger soared up. This matter was most likely done by Louis. No matter where he went, Tang Zheng had to investigate thoroughly. By CI who has already been recorded, however, he did not immediately leave. Instead, he discovered another matter that made him happy. His cultivation had already reached the second grade of fasting, and he had already mastered the third move of the heaven-flying immortal sword technique. He had not discovered it before, but now that he had calmed down, he discovered it. Heaven-flying immortal third move, lightning fire sword. With a thought, Tang Zheng grasped Battle Soul in his hand. With a flash of the sword, a black sword light cut through the sky, and a black light soared into the sky from the sword. So, the sword slashed through the air, causing ripples in the air that did not dissipate for a long time. Tang Zheng could clearly feel the difference between this move and the previous two. This move was more agile, incomparably light, and extremely fast. Although it looked like his sword slash was slow, he was certain that if an enemy were to slash in front of him, their reaction speed would definitely not be as fast as his sword. With a thought, the sword had already slashed out. The sword moved according to the thought, as fast as lightning. With a new move, his strength had reached another level. Tang Zheng took advantage of the darkness of the night to leave Huangxian City and return to the hotel. Fang Shishir was already asleep. Seeing him return, she woke up with a start. Rubbing her hazy eyes, she asked, "Why did you come so late? I thought you weren't coming, so I went to sleep first." Tang Zheng kissed her forehead and said, "I missed you, so I naturally came." Fang Shishir smiled and stretched out her arms. Tang Zheng naturally took her into his embrace and took off his clothes. The two of them laid on the bed. Fang Shishir snuggled into his chest and said, "You really scared me to death today." Tang Zheng patted her back and said, "That werewolf was too weak. How could he hurt me?" But no one expected that. I was so scared that I almost rushed up the stage to help you. Tang Zheng obviously saw her and Yi Dingdong's actions at that time. That heartfelt concern was still fresh in his mind. Fang Shishir blinked and hesitated for a moment before saying, "Yi Dingdong is also very concerned about you." This, Tang Zheng was speechless. He had never mentioned Yi Dingdong to Fang Shishir. For a moment, he did not know how to reply. The corner of Fang Shishir's mouth revealed a bitter smile as she said, "You're so outstanding, so you're very popular with the girls." Tang Zheng embarrassedly said, "Yes, yes, 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 yes." Fang Shishir stared straight into Tang Zheng's eyes. "You have quite a few girls by your side. Moreover, they are all great beauties. Besides Yi Dingdong, there is also that Li Xiaotian." Tang Zheng said that it was good that she did not know about Lu Qingmei. Otherwise, she would have definitely made a big fuss. However, when he heard Li Xiaotian's name, he hurriedly denied, "Don't confuse me with that black-bellied woman. She can't wait for me to die. Humph, I can't wait to get rid of her as a burden." Fang Shishir recalled the process of interacting with Li Xiaotian. It was indeed not pleasant. Tang Zheng also did not seem to have anything to do with her. That Li Xiaotian is not possible. What about Yi Dingdong? When we were in high school, didn't you guys have something going on? Fang Shishir calculated and said. She was jealous. Alas, Tang Zheng's head was about to explode. If he knew earlier, he would not have returned to the hotel tonight. Seeing that Tang Zheng was speechless, Fang Shishir's eyes flashed with a trace of sadness. She took the initiative to change the topic and said, "Louis called me today. He seems to have left the capital, and said that he would contact me after returning to the Western Empire. Seeing that she no longer entangled in this topic, Tang Zheng let out a sigh of relief. He looked at her with gratitude and said, "Then did Louis return to the Western Empire?" "I don't think so. He should have called me when he returned," Fang Shishir said. Tang Zheng frowned. This time, the Rockefeller family's plot did not succeed. Louis and Wales also disappeared from the face of the earth. Could it be that they just gave up and ran away? Impossible. Although Tang Zheng and Louis had only met a few times, from the other party's eyes, Tang Zheng judged that the other party was a person who would not give up until he achieved his goal. This time, he suffered a big loss and would definitely use other methods to make up for it. If Louis was just an ordinary young master, Tang Zheng would not be so cautious. But the other party actually had a werewolf under him. Tang Zheng had no choice but to be cautious. He did not understand why there would be werewolves in the Western Empire where the five-clawed golden dragon said that it was impossible for cultivators to appear. But there was no doubt that the Rockefeller family's strength was far beyond his imagination. Fang Shishir was studying in the Western Empire. If he did not tell her Louis's true colors, then who knows when she would fall into his trap. "Shishir, I want to tell you something about Louis," Tang Zheng said seriously. Fang Shishir looked at him in surprise and asked, "Hey, what do you know about him?" "He is the Rockefeller family's young lord, and this martial arts convention is actually a conspiracy." After Fang Shishir heard the twists and turns of the story, she could not help but be dumbstruck. She cried out in alarm. How could Louis be this kind of person? "Shishir, you have a kind heart, but there are many bad people in this world. It is hard to guard against them. I am telling you this so that you will be careful of Louis in the future." Fang Shishir wrinkled her brows and sighed. "I have known Louis for a few months, but I never thought that he would be this kind of person. It really is like the old saying, you may know a person for a long time, but not his heart. Shishir, you have to be careful when you are alone in a foreign country. If there is anything, just tell me. I will definitely rush to your side as fast as possible." "I know what you mean. I am not a weak girl without the strength to truss a chicken. I am now a 6th grade refining chi cultivator," Fang Shishir said proudly. Tang Zheng's mouth revealed a smile. Fang Shishir's cultivation progress was very fast. Although it has only been a few months, she had already reached the 6th grade refining chi. It must be known that the spirit chi in the Western Empire was very thin. Most of the time, she could only rely on the spirit chi and spirit stones to cultivate. "Shishir, this time before you leave, I will help you increase your cultivation." Tang Zheng once again played the role of the Dragon Yuan Dan, but for the time being, he still could not find a way to safely use the Dragon Yuan Dan. The Dragon Origin pill was too fierce for Fang Shishir, so he had to think of a foolproof plan. At dawn, the two people arrived at the restaurant. Tang Zheng confirmed last night that Fang Shishir did not notice the disappearance of her chi yesterday, so he concluded that it must be the doing of the waiter who delivered their meal. After looking around the restaurant, he did not find any trace of the waiter. Although he only caught a glimpse of him yesterday, Tang Zheng still remembered his face. After confirming that there was no such person in the restaurant, he immediately found the person in charge of the restaurant. Only then did he find out that the waiter did not ask for leave and did not come to work this morning. After asking for the exact address, he and Fang Shishir immediately walked out of the hotel to find the waiter. Fang Shishir was also filled with anger. She only found out last night that Tang Zheng's situation was very dangerous. If not for the Dragon Origin pill, then Tang Zheng's life would not be guaranteed. So this matter must be investigated clearly. Her anger was even more intense than Tang Zheng's. Her eyes became incomparably sharp, adding a trace of heroic spirit to her originally weak appearance. But as soon as the two people walked out of the hotel, a middle-aged man with a ponytail blocked their way. Tang Zheng looked at the other person suspiciously. This person did not have any fluctuations of inner strength. The only hot spot was that his clothes were very fashionable and colorful. "Kung Fu bro, hello. I have been waiting for you for a long time," the man with the ponytail said with a smile. His voice was a bit feminine, and Tang Zheng had goosebumps all over his body. "Who are you?" Tang Zheng asked doubtfully. The man with the ponytail raised his orchid finger and said, Kung Fu Bro is really direct, worthy of being a Kung Fu master. My name is AI Me. You can call me Sister AI Me, Sister AI Me? Puff. Tang Zheng almost spat out his breakfast. This person was obviously a man. Although he was feminine, his masculine features were obvious. He actually made Tang Zheng call him Sister AI Me. Damn sissy, don't come out so early in the morning to scare people. However, Tang Zheng was still polite enough and said, "May I ask why you are looking for me?" "Of course there's something, and it's a very good thing," AI Me said with a smile and dragged her last syllable. Tang Zheng urged, "If you have something to say, please say it quickly. I still have important things to do." Okay, I'll make it short. Kung Fu Bro, our company plans to package you and turn you into a new generation of idol stars, AI Me said while looking at Tang Zheng and blinking her watery little eyes. What? Idol stars? Tang Zheng was shocked. Yes, didn't you just win the martial arts conference? You are now very popular, so you should take advantage of this opportunity to package and market, and then let your fame rise to a new level. Although your appearance does not have the potential of an idol, this is not a problem. As long as you are packaged by my sister AI Me, I guarantee that you will be popular half the sky. Stop. Seeing him chatter on and on, Tang Zheng was almost confused by him, and he even said that he did not have the potential to be an idol star. Damn, isn't this saying that I'm not handsome enough? Tang Zheng did not know whether to laugh or cry and said, "I'm not interested in being a star. Go find someone else." AI Me was shocked and looked at Tang Zheng in disbelief. In this era, everyone wants to be a star, but he actually refused such a good opportunity. AI Me felt like she was dreaming. Tang Zheng held Fang Shishir's hand and quickly walked around AI Me, as if awakened from a dream, quickly stopped him and said, "Kung Fu Bro, everything can be discussed. I'll tell you the benefits of being a star first. When the time comes, you will be a famous person and money will rush into your pocket." Tang Zheng was not moved in the slightest as he stopped a taxi and left with Fang Shishir, leaving AI Me stomping her feet and sighing in her place. A moment later, the two arrived at an old residential area and found the corresponding room. Before opening the door, Tang Zheng smelled a trace of blood. Chapter 378. Smelling the smell of blood, Tang Zheng's nerves immediately tensed up. His face sank as he said, "I have a general idea. Be careful." Fang Shishir nodded cautiously. Tang Zheng used his innate qi to open the door lock and rushed in. He looked around but did not find any enemies. However, there was a person lying in a pool of blood on the ground. Fang Shishir followed him in. When she saw this scene, she couldn't help but exclaim, "How did he die?" The deceased was the waiter. We were a step too late. The other party obviously knew that I was not dead, so they made the first move and got rid of this insider. Tang Zheng's eyes flashed with killing intent. Doesn't that mean we can't find the real culprit behind this? Fang Shishir had a face of disappointment. Tang Zheng coldly snorted and said, "The real culprit is about to come out. It must be someone from the Rockefeller family. It doesn't matter if this person dies. Although there is no evidence, I will put this on their heads." Fang Shishir's expression was a little ugly. Thinking of the gentlemanly Louis from before, she could not help but sigh. She did not expect him to disguise himself so well. She had to avoid him as much as possible in the future. The two of them did not stay at the scene of the murder. After making sure that they did not leave any clues, they quickly left the room and did not lock the door so that the neighbors could see them and call the police. Fortunately, this was an old neighborhood and there were no surveillance cameras. Otherwise, their visit would have aroused suspicion. In the next 2 days, the capital was calm. Tang Zheng was thinking hard about how to use the Dragon Yuan Dan to help Fang Shishir improve her cultivation before she went abroad. In the end, Fang Shishir saw that he was at his wit's end and proposed to try it herself. This gave Tang Zheng a fright. Even he himself could not completely absorb the energy of the Dragon Yuan Dan. How could Fang Shishir, who was only at the 6th grade of Qi refining stage, do it? Tang Zheng, there is no way. How will we know if we don't try? Fang Shishir was eager to try and was quite bold. This Dragon Yuan pill is too risky. Then let's eat half at a time. Fang Shishir thought of a compromise. Tang Zheng's eyes lit up. That's right. Why was he so stupid? If one pill was not enough, half a pill should be enough. Without any hesitation, he carefully cut out the Dragon Yuan pill and fed it to Fang Shishir. He carefully stood guard at the side. After Fang Shishir took half of the Dragon Yuan pill, a wave of energy began to vibrate on the surface of her body. However, there was no burning scene like Tang Zheng. Hey, what's going on? Tang Zheng was puzzled, but he didn't dare to be careless. He stayed by her side all night. It was not until dawn when Fang Shishir opened her eyes that Tang Zheng breathed a sigh of relief. Nothing seemed to have happened that night, but in fact, Tang Zheng's heart was in turmoil, as if he was on a roller coaster. Fang Shishir's eyes were in high spirits, reflecting the light outside the window, adding a mysterious aura to her body. How do you feel? Tang Zheng asked. Fang Shishir was unable to contain her joy as she said, when the energy of the Dragon Yuan Dan exploded, it was extremely hot, as if it was going to ignite me. However, I don't know where a cold energy came from within my body, but it neutralized the energy of the Dragon Yuan Dan and completely transformed it into innate qi. That night, I directly went from the 6th grade of qi, refining to the 1st grade of foundation establishment. Tang Zheng was shocked. He finally understood what was going on. Dragon blood was a pure yang item, so the Dragon Yuan pill was also a pure yang pill. Tang Zheng's body was the 9 yang saint body, so it was extremely yang. After consuming the Dragon Yuan pill, the pure yang energy overlapped with each other, so the energy was naturally very terrifying. However, Fang Shishir had a pure yin body, and she had only consumed half of the Dragon Yuan pill, so there was no such situation. Instead, it was very beneficial. Tang Zheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This Dragon Yuan pill was actually the most suitable for Fang Shishir and Lu Qingmei's physiques. Tang Zheng explained the reason to Fang Shishir. Fang Shishir was also very surprised. This was truly a pleasant surprise. Shishir, your cultivation has increased so much that you have a certain amount of self-protection abroad. I'll give you 2 more Dragon Yuan pills, and the remaining half for you to consume in the future. But you have to be careful. Using this kind of pill to forcefully increase one's cultivation can easily cause one's foundation to be unstable. This is not a long-term solution. After you increase your cultivation this time, you have to focus on cultivation for a long time. Don't be in a hurry to consume the Dragon Yuan pill. Tang Zheng warned. Fang Shishir nodded her head and said, I understand. Don't worry, my leave is almost over. I'll fly back today. Although Tang Zheng was reluctant, there was nothing he could do. The two of them spent the entire morning in the hotel room, lingering to their heart's content. After sending Fang Shishir on the plane, Tang Zheng's head was filled with a strong feeling of parting. This time, they would have to wait for a few months before they could meet again. Yinqing University. When Tang Zheng walked to the door of the dormitory, he saw Amy waiting there again. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This person was too reluctant to part with him. She actually wanted to make him a star. How could he have so much time? Being a star was simply not a proper occupation. When Amy saw Tang Zheng, she was overjoyed. She quickly walked over and said, Brother Kung Fu, we meet again. Have you considered my proposal? Tang Zheng shook his head without hesitation. I'm sorry, I'm not interested. Amy hurriedly tried to persuade him. Brother Kung Fu, you're a student now. You have plenty of time. Moreover, if you work hard for the next 4 years, you won't have to work so hard like other students when you graduate. It's a great thing. Tang Zheng still shook his head. He thought to himself that if he didn't want to be a star, he wouldn't have to work so hard after graduation. Seeing Tang Zheng's stubbornness, Amy looked at him with her watery little eyes and said pitifully, Brother Kung Fu, you might not fully understand. As long as you sign with our company, you can participate in a costume drama. Many people have waited for many years for this opportunity. You're saying that I can shoot a movie right now? Amy thought Tang Zheng was moved and hurriedly nodded. Yes, as long as you sign with our company, you can immediately act in a movie and walk on the big screen. Tang Zheng still refused without hesitation. I'll tell you the truth. Even if you ask me 3 times, I still won't agree. Please go back. Don't waste your time on me. Seeing that he had made up his mind, AI Me looked sad and said with a sad face, "Brother Kung Fu, you really wasted a heaven-sent opportunity." Tang Zheng was unmoved and returned to the dormitory. Sinosaurus looked downstairs and asked without turning his head, "Lao San, why is that sissy looking for you? I saw that he's been waiting downstairs for a long time." "Oh, he's an agent from some acting company. He wants me to shoot a movie and package me as a star," Tang Zheng said casually. Holy **T. Sinosaurus immediately jumped up. The other two also looked at Tang Zheng in surprise. "Lao San, you're going to be a star. Then hurry up and give us a few autographs. You'll be worth a lot of money in the future." "I rejected him," Tang Zheng said. "Oh, why? It's such a good opportunity. Others can't ask for it." The three were puzzled. Tang Zheng smiled. "I'm a student. Of course my main job is to study. Why would I want to be a star?" The three were stunned and gave a thumbs up. "Lao San, you're awesome." Ding ling ling. Suddenly, Tang Zheng's phone rang. He quickly picked it up and saw that it was an unknown number. "Hello, who is this?" "Tang Zheng, is that you?" A pleasant voice sounded. "It's me." Tang Zheng didn't recognize who the other party was. "Who are you?" "I'm Mu Hongyin, Nana's mother." Tang Zheng's expression changed and said excitedly, "Sister Mu, it's you. Why did you think of calling me?" At the beginning, the two sides agreed that because the relationship between Tang Zheng and the Long family was too stiff, it was inconvenient to contact him. He didn't expect that Mu Hongyin would take the initiative to contact him. "Tang Zheng, I'm in trouble. Nana and I came to the capital." Mu Hongyin said. "Ah, you came to the capital? Where? What kind of trouble?" Tang Zheng was very curious. The other party's identity was not ordinary. She was the young mistress of the Long family in Dianan. Who would go against her? "I just got off the plane. I'm taking a taxi to the city center. Let's meet in the city center. It's a long story. I'll tell you in detail when the time comes." Mu Hongyin's voice was obviously a little tired. Tang Zheng was a little cold. He guessed that something must have happened to the other party, so he quickly agreed. "Lao San, where are you going? It sounds like another woman. Your real girlfriend just left. Where did this beauty come from?" His roommate joked. "I really have something to do. I'll go first." Tang Zheng quickly left the dormitory and took a taxi to the city center. Finally, he saw Mu Hongyin and Nana in front of a commercial square in the city center. It had only been a few months since they last saw each other. Tang Zheng found that Mu Hongyin seemed to have changed into a different person. Looking from afar, her whole person was haggard. Although she was still beautiful, she lacked a trace of spirit. Nanan still grew a bit taller and was still as cute as ever. Looking left and right, she suddenly found Tang Zheng. Her big round eyes lit up as she flew over and opened her arms as she shouted, "Big brother godly doctor, big brother godly doctor." The little girl's voice was very clear and penetrating, attracting the attention of many passers-by. Looking at the elf-like girl throwing herself into the arms of a young man, everyone was a little envious of the young man. Tang Zheng hugged Nana and lifted her up high. Nana immediately giggled. Her smile was even brighter than the sun in the sky. "Brother godly doctor, Nana hasn't seen you for a long time. Nana missed you so much." Nana leaned on Tang Zheng's shoulder and said with a pout. Tang Zheng laughed and said, "I missed you too. Nana has grown taller and more beautiful." "Really? Of course. Didn't you see so many uncles and aunts looking at you? It's because you're too beautiful," Tang Zheng said. Nana tilted her head and looked at the others. She nodded and said, "Nana also thinks that she has become more beautiful." Nana's body was better, so her spirit was naturally better. She exercised more and her face was flushed. Her whole person looked radiant and naturally more beautiful. Chapter 379. Someone bullied your mother? Tang Zheng's face sank. Nana nodded her head. "Yes, they're too bad. They chased Mom and Nana out, causing Mom to cry. When Mom cries, Nana cries too. They're not good people." Looking at her delicate and pitiful appearance, Tang Zheng found it hard to imagine what kind of grievances they had suffered. He patted her back and comforted her. Nan Nan, don't worry, Big Brother will definitely protect you and make the bad guys unable to hurt you. I will also help you vent your anger and beat the bad guys. That's right. Beat those bad guys up. Nana fumed. Mu Hongyin walked over and heard their conversation. She squeezed out a smile at Tang Zheng. Long time no see, Tang Zheng. Big sister Mu, long time no see. You look haggard. Mu Hongyin shook her head and smiled bitterly, looking rather lonely. Seeing her carrying her luggage, Tang Zheng said, Let me carry it. Have the two of you found a place to stay? Not yet. I called you the moment I got off the plane. Let's look for a hotel first. Mu Hongyin nodded her head. Tang Zheng found the nearest hotel and arranged for the mother and daughter to stay there. Mu Hongyin had been silent the entire time, and only when the three of them entered the room did her tense nerves relax a little. When Nan saw Tang Zheng, she did not know where her strength came from, but she became lively and excited. Mu Hongyin looked at Nana in a daze. Nana has been unhappy recently, and she's so happy to see you. What happened? Tang Zheng asked curiously. Mu Hongyin sighed inwardly. Let's talk outside. This was a suite. Nana was entertaining herself in the bedroom. The two of them came to the living room. Tang Zheng poured her a glass of water and quietly waited for her answer. Mu Hongyin took a sip of water, took a deep breath, and said, Ever since you left Dianan, it has been peaceful for a period of time. Long Tingyu has also restrained himself a lot. But ever since he came to the capital some time ago, a lot of changes have taken place after he went back. Tang Zheng still remembered that he was the one who injured Long Tengyu, and then Long Tengyu quietly left the capital. After Long Tengyu returned from the capital, he became very strange. He would often stir up trouble in front of the old man, and in the end, I don't know where he found an island nation person, but he actually slandered me and the people of the island nation to destroy the interests of the Long family. He even blamed me for the death of Wang Fuchuan last time. Mu Hongyan said with an angry and helpless tone, I have operated the family business for the Long family for so many years, and have never harmed the interests of the Long family for my own personal gain. Long Tingyu is so despicable, using such a method to slander me. At first, the old man did not believe it, but later on, under the attacks of Long Tengyu and his mother day and night, he actually believed it. In a fit of anger, he chased us out of the house. How preposterous! Tang Zheng was furious. He had already figured out that it was Long Tengyu who had colluded with the people of the island nation to betray the interests of the Long family. He wanted to seize power from Mu Hongyin, but he did not expect them to turn black and white. That so-called island nation person was definitely Sawada Ichiro. Who would have thought that he and Long Tengyu would go to Dianan? Sister Mu, all of this is slander. Don't be sad. The Long family does not distinguish between black and white, and allows Long Tengyu to do whatever he wants. One day, they will swallow the evil that they have sown. Tang Zheng said unjustly. Sister Mu, all of this is the result of Long Tengyu colluding with the people of the island nation. They are slandering you. I will accompany you to the Long family and explain it clearly in person. Mu Hongyin shook his head in a daze. No need. From the moment I stepped out of the Long family, I was no longer a member of the Long family. Since they are so heartless, when I go back, they will definitely have other schemes. I don't want Nana to grow up in such an environment. Tang Zheng's heart moved. Mu Hongyin had already seen through it. She had done so much for the Long family and managed the family business, but in the end, this was the result that she received. Moreover, for the sake of her daughter, she did not want her to go back and grow up in that kind of environment. She was a capable woman, and even if she left the Long family, she could still live a good life. All right, I'll leave then. Then I won't go back in the future. I'll definitely protect you. I won't allow anyone to hurt you. Tang Zheng said firmly. Mu Hongyin laughed bitterly. Thank you, Tang Zheng. Nana and I left our home with nothing and had no relatives. In the end, we could only come and seek refuge with you. Speaking of which, I'm really a failure as a person, other than you. I actually don't have any other close friends. Tang Zheng inwardly sighed. As the saying goes, it is lonely at the top. In the past, Mu Hongyin was high and mighty. Not only did she have the ability, but she also had the status. How could a normal person have the qualifications to be her friend? Most of the people she knew were only interested in benefits, so she did not have any sincere friends. Sister Mu, what are your plans for the future? Tang Zheng asked. Mu Hongyan said, on the way here, I thought about it for a long time. In the future, Nana still needs money to live, so I will look for a job. Look for a job? Tang Zheng stared blankly. In the past, Mu Hongyan was the head of the family business. If she was asked to find a job and live under someone else's roof, she would definitely not be able to adapt. Who knows how much she would suffer? Yes, if you don't look for a job, you can't just sit there and eat. I believe that the heavens will not bar one's way. There will definitely be a way. Sister Mu, I believe in you. There is no doubt about your ability. You will definitely be able to make a comeback. Tang Zheng encouraged. Mu Hongyan squeezed out a smile. Then I'll take advantage of your auspicious words. Mom, brother godly doctor, I'm hungry. Nana walked out, clutching her stomach and shouted with a pout, come, let's go downstairs to eat. Nana is a guest from afar. Big brother will treat you to a meal. Let's see what you like to eat. Tang Zheng laughed. Nana shook her head and said, Mom has no money. We have to be thrifty. Just eat enough. There is no need to eat good things. Tang Zheng had a headache. This little girl was so sensible. Mu Hongyan's eyes turned red and she almost cried. She quickly turned her head. Tang Zheng quickly hugged Nana and said, Nana, don't worry. Big brother will treat you. You will eat the best food. Really? Nana stared with her big eyes and asked expectantly. Tang Zheng nodded heavily. Of course, when did Big Brother lie to you? Nana shook her head seriously. Brother Godly Doctor is the best. He never lies to Nana. Wow, that's great. Nana wants to eat good food. Mom, let's go eat. Mu Hongyan wiped the corner of her eyes and forced a smile. Okay, let's go eat. The group arrived at the restaurant and Tang Zheng ordered a large table of food. Nanan's face blossomed into a smile as she continuously stuffed food into her small mouth, eating with relish. Mu Hongyan had no appetite. After eating a few mouthfuls, she stared blankly at Nana. Her eyes couldn't help but become a little infatuated. The corner of her mouth gradually revealed a smile. Nana looked up and saw the two people staring at her. She hurriedly said, Mom, brother Godly Doctor, you also eat? This is the most delicious. Nana will give you some food. Nana obediently put some food in everyone's bowl. From afar, they looked like a happy family of three. After eating dinner, the three returned to their room. Just as Tang Zheng was about to leave, he was tightly hugged by Nan. Brother Godly Doctor, can you not leave? Stay and accompany Mother and Nan. During this time, Mother has not been able to sleep well. With Brother Godly Doctor's protection, Mother will definitely be able to sleep well. The two people did not expect Nana to make such a request. Tang Zheng looked at Mu Hongyan. Mu Hongyan revealed an awkward expression and said, Nana, Brother Godly Doctor wants to go home and rest. He can't stay in the hotel to rest. Why? Nana wants Brother Godly Doctor to stay. Brother Godly Doctor, you're the best. Can you promise, Nana? Nana looked at Tang Zheng pitifully. Her big eyes were watery, making people unable to bear to refuse. Tang Zheng was in a dilemma. There was only one bedroom in this room. They were mother and daughter, so it was not appropriate for them to stay the night. He looked at Mu Hongyan. She also had an awkward expression. She did not know what to do. Seeing that Nana was unwilling to give up, and that she must have suffered a lot of grievances, Tang Zheng could not bear to refuse. He hesitated for a moment and said, Sister Mu, if it's convenient, I can stay. I'll sleep in the living room. Looking at her pitiful daughter, Mu Hongyan's heart softened. She also wanted to ask Tang Zheng to stay, but she was afraid that he would not be willing. Seeing that he actually took the initiative to stay, her heart warmed. She gratefully said, Tang Zheng, thank you. Us mother and daughter owe you too much. Hee. Sister Mu, there's no need to say these things. You've also been tired for a day. Go take a bath and sleep first. Tang Zheng said. Nana cheered and almost jumped up. She hugged Tang Zheng's neck and kissed him on the cheek and said, Brother Godly Doctor, you're the best. You and Mother are the best people to Nana. Nana likes you the most. Tangjing laughed and patted her little head and said, then hurry up and take a bath and go to bed. With Brother Godly Doctor protecting you, bad people will not be able to hurt you. Nanan nodded and quickly rushed into the bedroom to find her pajamas. Then, she rushed into the bathroom. Mu Hongyan smiled and said, Tangjung, you watch TV for a while. I'll go watch her. The sound of water and Nana's laughter came from the bathroom. After a while, Nana ran out wearing a cartoon pajamas and threw herself into Tangjung's arms. Brother Godly Doctor, Nana took a bath. Is it fragrant? Haha, fragrant. Nana is the most fragrant. Tangjung laughed. Brother Godly Doctor, Nana will tell you a secret. Mother is the most fragrant, even more fragrant than Nana. If you don't believe me, wait for Mother to take a bath. Smell it, and you'll know that Nana is not lying. Nana said mysteriously. Tangjung was suddenly stunned. Even Mu Hongyan was stunned. She did not expect Nana to say this. Her face immediately turned red and looked at Tangjung. Coincidentally, Tangjung also looked up at her, and their eyes met. Chapter 380. Tangjung also remembered that time. He coughed awkwardly and quickly averted his gaze. Nana looked at the two of them curiously and asked, Mom, why is your face so red? Are you having a fever? Brother Godly Doctor, you know how to treat illnesses. Can you help me see what's wrong with my mother? Tangjung didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Children's words carried no harm, but these words were too embarrassing. Mu Hongyan immediately restrained her mind and said, Nana, Mom is fine. You play with Brother for a while. I'm going to take a bath. With that, he picked up his clothes and went into the bathroom. Mu Hongyan raised her head, and the warm water poured down from the top of her head, flowing all over her body. Suddenly, her heart trembled, and only then did she realize that Tangjung was still sitting outside. He must have heard the sound of water. Would he rush in? Definitely not. But when he heard the sound of water, would he fantasize about her bathing? She took a few deep breaths and suppressed the absurd thoughts in her heart with great difficulty. She muttered to herself, Mu Hongyan, what are you thinking about? Tangjung is your benefactor, a gentleman. How can you let your imagination run wild and think of him so unbearably? He's not a beast like Long Tengyu. There was a very important reason why Mu Hongyan chose to join Tangjung. Long Tengyu had always been thinking about her, and now that she had been chased out of the house, Long Tengyu's chance had come. If there was no one to protect her, Long Tengyu would definitely be unbridled, and she would definitely fall into his clutches. It would be better to kill her with a single slash, but for Nana, she could not die. She had to live on strong and with dignity. All of this, only Tangjung could satisfy her, which was why she came all the way to the capital. Moreover, back then, Tangjung had promised her that he would teach Nanan the cultivation method. In the past, he had some misgivings in the Long family, but now, it was the most appropriate time. Mu Hongyan lowered her head and looked at the water droplets flowing through every inch of her skin. Every inch of her skin was emitting a soul-stirring magic. Her figure was very good. It could be said to be a devil's figure. The place that should be big was big, the place that should be small was small, and the place that should be small was small. As the saying goes, a beautiful woman has a short life. If she doesn't have the ability to protect herself, being too beautiful is often the root of disaster. After she finished bathing, she put on her pajamas. She could vaguely see her graceful figure under her pajamas. She did not expect Tangjung to stay, so her pajamas were a little. Fortunately, she was still wearing underwear, so she was not exposed. Hearing the sound of footsteps, Tangjung, who was playing with Nana, stopped and subconsciously raised his head. His eyes could not help but light up and his heart beat faster. Mu Hongyan was really too beautiful. No, other than being beautiful, she also had a mature charm, which was even more alluring than simple beauty. Even Tangjung, who was used to seeing beauties, could not help but feel a rush of excitement. When Mu Hongyan saw Tangjung's gaze, not only did she not feel disgusted, she was even secretly happy, thinking that she was still as charming as before. Mom, you're done bathing. Brother Godly Doctor, quickly go and smell Mom's body. It's very fragrant. Nana said impatiently, pulling Tang Zheng in front of Mu Hongyan. Sure enough, a faint fragrance entered his nose. This fragrance was more rich than the body fragrance of an ordinary woman. It was very pleasant to the nose. Mu Hongyan was a little embarrassed. She hurriedly hugged Nana, covering her chest and said, Nana, don't be naughty. Quickly go back to the room and sleep. Don't disturb Brother's rest. Nana pouted and said, Brother hasn't smelled it yet. Mom is really stingy. The two were incomparably embarrassed. Mu Hongyan blushed and said, We'll go back to the room to rest first. Tangzheng, you should also sleep early. Okay, you guys rest. Nana, good night. Brother Godly Doctor, the sofa is not comfortable. Come in and sleep with us on the bed. The bed is very big. The three of us can sleep together. Nana warmly invited. Tangzheng was left speechless. Little girl, aren't you being too passionate? Mu Hongyan wished she could find a hole to hide in. She was also afraid that Nana would say something shocking, so she hurriedly carried her into the bedroom. The door was closed. Tangzheng bitterly smiled and shook his head. He went to wash up and lay on the sofa with his clothes on. He covered himself with a blanket that he had specially found from the hotel and listened. There was no sound in the room, as if the mother and daughter had already fallen asleep. Tangzheng rested his head on his hands and sighed. He did not expect that when he was in a hurry to sell the life-continuing pill, he would meet Mu Hongyan and form an unbreakable bond with the mother and daughter. Mu Hongyan was originally the young mistress of the Long family. Her status was illustrious, but how long had it been since she was beaten down to the mortal world? Big families are really cold and indifferent. If they continue to stay in such a big family, their entire body will become sick. It was a wise decision for them to leave the Long family. Long Tingyu colluded with the people of the island nation, but I don't think he will be able to get any benefits in the end. The people of the island nation are not vegetarians. Who cares? The Long family has nothing to do with me. Long Tingyu better squander all the Long family. Humph. Long Xuanyuan's martial arts are quite good. How did he teach such a bastard son? He will cry in the future. After thinking for a while, Tangzheng fell into a deep sleep. Crack. In the middle of the night, Tangzheng was awakened by the slight sound of the door lock twisting. He did not immediately stand up, but slowly turned his head to look at the door. He saw the door quietly open, and a figure flashed as a person barged in. In the darkness, he could not clearly see the person's appearance, but without a doubt, this person was not a good person. From the other person's speed, Tangzheng could tell. Tangzheng held his breath, thinking, who is this person? Why did he sneak in the middle of the night? Could it be a thief? This is a 5-star hotel. How could there be a thief with such guts? Tangzheng frowned. This person did not come with good intentions. This person was definitely here for Mu Hongyan and her mother. Who sent him? Could it be that the mother and daughter were not miserable enough? They still wanted to send someone to deal with them? This person quickly approached the bedroom door in the darkness. The room was pitch black, and the other party obviously did not notice that there was a person lying on the sofa. When this person was close to the bedroom door, suddenly, he felt a sense of danger and quickly jumped to the side. Whiz! A hand just happened to appear where he was standing just now. Silently, like a ghost, this person quickly retreated. His hand touched his waist, and a treasured sword that was shining with a cold light appeared in his hand. This treasured sword was like a spirit snake, twisting and turning freely. With a swoosh, it shot out, bringing with it a few sword flowers. Although it could not be seen clearly in the darkness, the sound of the sword was like a poisonous snake spitting out its tongue. However, both sides were immersed in the darkness, so they could not see each other's appearance. They could only distinguish the position by listening. But this was not difficult for the two people. Both sides were experts. As long as there was a slight movement, the swift and fierce moves would immediately kill, as if it was under the light of a lamp. After exchanging a few moves, Tangzheng shivered. The opponent was a sword expert and used a soft sword. The sword moves were unpredictable, sometimes east, sometimes west, sometimes south, sometimes north, changing constantly, erratic and erratic. Tang Zheng did not use war spirit, but relied on his bare hands to exchange blows with the opponent's soft sword, and did not fall into a disadvantageous position. From this point, it could be determined that the opponent's cultivation was slightly lower than Tang Zheng's, but it could be concluded that he was a Xiantian master. For a Xiantian master to deal with a powerless mother and daughter, it was really a big deal. The anger in Tang Zheng's heart soared. The assassin seemed to be quite surprised by the opponent's strength. After several probing, he was actually unable to do anything to the opponent, and there were a few times where it was extremely thrilling, almost being hit by the opponent's attack. It was just that he had already alerted the enemy. If he could not complete the mission this time, then there would be even less of a chance next time. So he did not retreat, and instead attacked even more fiercely. The two of them went back and forth, fighting happily, and the whooshing sound was endless. Bang! The assassin accidentally hit the table, and with a clang, something on the table fell, making a loud sound. Tang Zheng frowned. Such a big movement should not wake up the mother and daughter in the room. Mu Hongyan suddenly woke up. She had not been sleeping well during this period of time, and the slightest movement would wake her up. Hearing the sound of something falling in the living room, she turned on the light and got out of bed, opened the bedroom door, and while turning on the light in the living room, she asked, "Tang Zheng, are you asleep?" The sudden light made Tang Zheng and the assassin subconsciously close their eyes, and then open them in an instant. The two of them looked at each other at the same time, as if they wanted to see such a powerful master clearly. When the two of them saw each other clearly, they exclaimed at the same time, "How could it be you?" Both of them stopped and stared at each other in disbelief. After fighting for a long time, they were still old acquaintances. Cold-faced assassin Xiao Shaoling, "How could it be you again?" Tang Zheng asked murderously. After the college entrance examination, he and Fang Shishir went to Dianan to play, and on the train, they met Xiao Shaoling assassinating Wang Fuchuan. By chance, Tang Zheng and Xiao Shaoling fought and almost fell into his hands. Tang Zheng clearly remembered that at that time, Xiao Shaoling's cultivation was at the 8th grade of the natal realm. He hadn't seen him for a few months, and the other party had broken through to the 1st grade of the natal realm, which was fast enough. Xiao Shaoling was even more surprised than Tang Zheng. He had a deep memory of the battle at that time. He thought that his cultivation base had gone up another level and his strength had greatly increased, but he didn't expect that Tang Zheng, who was far inferior to him at that time, had become so powerful, faintly suppressing him. "Tang Zheng, it's you," Xiao Shaoling said. Tang Zheng coldly snorted and said, "Xiao Shaoling, the Long family released the news that they must catch you and ask who hired you to kill Wang Fuchuan. I didn't expect that you were not afraid and came to the capital." "Well, if the Long family wants to catch me, they must have the ability to do so," Xiao Shaoling said disdainfully. In fact, in these months, he was not clear about the outside world, but returned to his master and concentrated on cultivation. After making a big breakthrough, he appeared in Jianghu again. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.